All right, you and I are about to dive into the wildest underdog story in the kingdom's annual night trials. Who exactly is Arthur Thorne? Among this year's noble prodigies, that name didn't even exist. With 855 points, Lady Seraphina storms out, furious about a mistake she made. And she is the daughter of legendary high-ranking knights. With 988 points, Julian Vane walks out exhausted. Everyone whispers about how much Julian has improved. Then Cedric Stone exits with 932 points, sees he's not first, and slams his staff in a rage. Rumors fly that it's rare for a sorcerer to score that high, but Cedric is dying to know who this Arthur is. Only 2 candidates remain. Now comes another with 1,021 points. The prodigy Alistair Blackwood, a member of the kingdom's most powerful noble house. He is confused by the crowd's shock until he realizes someone is still inside taking the test. The academy falls silent. Everyone is desperate to see this last kid, even though they're sure Alistair will be top of the class. Now, keep your eyes on the portal. This is where everyone loses their minds as a stranger finally emerges. Arthur Thorne, the absolute beast with 1,201 points, taking first place. Total shock. No one has ever scored that high in history. The boy walks right past without a word as the crowd parts. The moment our protagonist is out of sight, the entire academy erupts into chaos. Everyone wants to know his secrets and how this is possible. Little do they know, Arthur only has one good stat, 99 luck. That is because he is trapped in this world and cannot escape. Normally, that wouldn't be bad since he was a top player, until he noticed his stats were literal garbage. Since he was only level 1, he decided to try a forbidden strategy, constant rerolling. He restarted his life over and over, hundreds of times, until after a whole month, he got exactly what he wanted. All stats low, but luck maxed at 99. The best part, every single reward gets an insane buff. His rank F skill upgraded to triple S. The bad part, he's physically weak, so he plays it smart. He heads straight to the high-stakes gambling den. On the very first machine, his luck hits the jackpot. With his winnings, he buys a massive haul of powerful items. Because the very next day was his arrival at the Knight Academy entrance exam. The boy keeps a low profile and avoids drawing attention until the inevitable competition begins. And that's how the beast entered the portal, armed with potions and skills scored through sheer luck. The test was brutal. You had to keep fighting until you couldn't climb any higher. The first goblins were easy, but then a specter spawned, using the sword he bought and his mana rule skill. He channels energy into the blade, and after a desperate struggle, finally finishes the creature off. A Cyclops, seriously, but we both know how this ends, right? He takes it down against all odds. He walked out as rank 1, leaving everyone speechless. But now he is in trouble because the nobles hate him. Right after the test, Alistair and Cedric meet up and start plotting to investigate the mysterious boy. And those villains are already planning to end his life. Meanwhile, clueless Arthur wanders the academy without a care, or almost none, because every woman he passes calls him hideous. That is the problem with only having 3 points in charm. The negative attention earned him points for loot boxes, but he prioritized improving his strength first. Besides calling him ugly, his classmates think he's crazy. Their teacher, Mistress Alara, walks in and introduces herself. Arthur remembers she is a master of fire magic. We definitely need to see more of her. Class starts, and magic feels like complex science to most, but Arthur explains it's like a simple puzzle. It's easy for him because he knows the game's secrets, and he uses his info skill to check Julian's impressive stats. He spots another student, Lady Genevieve, and remembers she was ignored until players found out she gives legendary treasure. It's break time, and our hero's eyes are glued on Lady Genevieve. She tries to buy a snack, but her magic coin purse is empty, and who even carries physical gold anymore? And that's where we leave it, trust me. You and I will see this luck build change the kingdom forever. You and I are jumping into the story of a boy who's about to flip his academy upside down. She hates his reputation and refuses a drink, but hits the button by mistake. Leo just smiles, handing it over with a wave. He hopes that first impression worked. Bit by bit, he is going to win this lady over. Back in magic class, our main character is struggling hard because his mana stats are still bottom tier. If he repeats this motion 1 billion times, he will unlock legendary skills for both physical and magic power. But he's already wiped out after just 5 minutes. The professor snaps at him for daydreaming and drags him to the chalkboard. He steps up and stares at the impossible equation. He solves the math instantly, leaving everyone shocked that a supposed failure like him actually has a brain. The teacher sends him back while the nobles whisper, wondering how he can be gifted in both steel and sorcery. That stunt earned him some serious recognition. After class, he's at the gym pumping iron, praying he avoids Sir Alistair. Mages usually despise manual labor, so he is definitely breaking the mold here. Then he spots them, Gilbert and Juliana of House Martin. Her father basically owns a private army of knights. Juliana sees Leo and Gilbert, gets jealous immediately, so she decides she has to recruit our hero right now. Now pay attention here, because things get tense. She tells Gilbert she's just teasing because Leo looks weak. Leo remembers that in the future, Gilbert leads the Black Rose, a squad of the kingdom's strongest heroes. He hits the weights harder, using a speed potion to boost his stats. Wait, does this mean he is juicing? With a brutal test coming up, he needs every bit of strength. Now, it's time for some high-stakes gambling. Leo is hunting down a bald old man, hoping to win a specific enchanted bracelet from him. That shiny head is impossible to miss. Leo sits down, feeling a bit bad since he's using invisible drones to cheat. He goes all in, but then someone sits next to him and sends him into a panic. I told you he liked this girl, right? Serafina mocks him for gambling, but he's terrified since her family are legendary assassins. She asks if he is any good at cards. He just smirks, making her laugh at his sudden burst of confidence. He's relieved she didn't take offense, as she demands the dealer start the game immediately. While cards fly, Leo plans to bleed the others dry while letting Serafina win, so the old man stays longer. Why are your chips so low? Her cold assassin gaze nearly stops his heart, but she just complains that the bald guy took all her gold. Leo decides to help her win it back, hoping to turn this deadly girl into an ally. Suddenly, he freezes in terror, not because of the cards, but because a true monster just walked in. It is Baron Vane, a high-ranking member of the Shadow Cabal. A side quest pops up, survive the night or die. This isn't a game anymore. He tries to escape, but the hall is suddenly plunged into darkness. Watch closely. He uses his drone for optics, and it works, while Vane's thugs start turning this hall into a total war zone. Leo can't believe people are actually being killed around him. He grabs Serafina's hand and pulls her along, desperate to find an exit before they're caught. He realizes that artifact bracelet could save them, but he trips right in front of a massive, armored thug. Leo tells Serafina to hide while she recovers from the blinding spell. He's shocked at how calm she stays. The enemy mage attacks, throwing fire and lightning everywhere. For a low-level grunt, this guy is actually dangerous. But Leo sees the gap and casts a nullification spell, shattering the villain's magic circles. The thug summons mana around his fists for a brawl. Leo realizes this is about to be a fistfight. Leo crushes the spell in his hand, releasing a shockwave that sends the bad guy flying back. The thug is out cold, but Leo is drained because he wasted way too much mana on that strike. Serafina catches him before he hits the floor, asking if he's okay. He just mumbles about the barbarian bracelet. She pulls it out, handing it over, and he's stunned that she actually managed to get it. She noticed he couldn't stop staring at it during the game, and gives it to him as a reward for saving her. He draws his heavy sword, activating the set bonus just as 2 more thugs arrive. Now, he's ready for war. So what do you and I think? Her rank 8 status should make this a total stomp. Stay tuned. Alara uses her shadow step, turning into a venomous slime, and blinks behind a thug to sink a blade into his shoulder. All right, you and I are watching Arthur stand there, focusing his mind for the coming storm. He enters a dark trance, a grim requirement to awaken his cursed gear as his own blood feeds the ancient bracelet. A crimson aura erupts from his body, boosting his speed, endurance, and raw physical power to absolute peak levels. With only 3 minutes on the clock, he lunges toward the second bandit, who barely manages to avoid Arthur's strike. Steel meets steel, but Arthur does not stop unleashing a relentless barrage. He is shocked this knight is holding on, knowing he is finished once his energy fades. Thinking fast, he taps into the arcane shop and buys a set of blinding light stones. The thug ignores all heroic tropes and keeps swinging. Arthur shouts for his ally to shield her eyes before using a flash spell. Watch closely here, because that flash just caught the eye of the main commander, Lord Valerius, too. This earns him some serious renown points, but fame won't mean much if he ends up as a corpse. Valerius teleports in right as Arthur's power fades. Sarah tries to sneak up behind the commander, but Arthur knows this is a suicide mission. He cannot even shout a warning, because that would give away her exact position to Valerius. Valerius glides closer, pressing a long, thin blade against Arthur's neck. It all happens so fast Arthur did not even see him move. Valerius just sneers and sheathes his weapon, claiming he has more pressing matters to attend to elsewhere. He slowly fades away, hoping Arthur grows stronger before their next duel. The palace guards finally arrive, and Arthur realizes he actually survived. Side quest complete. He walks away with extra renown and a nice boost to his core attributes. Later, back in her manor, Alara is feeling a different kind of weakness. She cannot stop thinking about Arthur right now. Maybe it is because he saved her life, or because he did not even blink when Valerius attacked him. The constant thoughts make her face go red, and she grabs her dagger while showing off her dangerous, lethal curves. She buries the blade deep into her pillow, deciding that the only way to clear her head is to kill Arthur. She will wait for the perfect moment to strike when he least expects it. It is decided. He is her target today. Now I know what you are thinking, but I like them crazy. Arthur is back at it with more mystery chests. He cracks one open and scores an ancestral tier spirit assistant named Helen. He has never seen an ancestral rank before, but remembers it is a legendary rarity born when a powerful soul refuses to move on. They become sentient relics, which is why standard identification methods cannot even touch them. He wonders if he is even capable of commanding such a high-tier spirit entity. The spirit grows alongside its master, but looking at the scrolls, he sees redacted text and wonders if the magic is glitching. He tries his appraisal skill, but it is too weak. He starts to wonder just how terrifying this soul actually is. He binds the spirit to his scout drone, and once they merge, the machine introduces itself as Helen. It lists its functions, and the shield ability definitely piques his interest. A defensive shield that costs 0 mana. That is absolutely broken. The scene shifts to a knight practicing his forms until Arthur interrupts the session by applauding. This is Sir Cedric, and Arthur introduces himself as a fan. Thank goodness for the translation spell, or he would never understand this dialect. Arthur praises Cedric's sword skills, explaining that his own swordsmanship is still quite basic. He asks Cedric for a lesson, but the knight demands to see Arthur's skills first. The bait worked. He just made a powerful new ally. They move to spar, and Arthur blocks Cedric's strike, pinning his blade down. Winning this little duel is going to skyrocket his reputation with Cedric. The knight backs off, and Arthur reads his movements like an open book. Cedric cannot believe he just lost to this mysterious newcomer. Especially since he is physically stronger, which means Arthur's actual technique is levels above his own. It felt like he was swinging against an immovable mountain. Arthur interrupts his thoughts, asking if he wants to know why he lost. The reason is pure combat experience. He is literally quoting Cedric's own future words. Despite their age, Arthur has seen way more. But he knows in a few years, once Cedric truly levels up, Arthur will not stand a chance against him. He tells Cedric he spent years on the front lines, leaving the knight in shock as he walks away. The next day, Alara is still lurking in the shadows, spying on Arthur every move. She wonders why she is drawn to a commoner like him, blushing at the very thought. Suddenly, Hans walks up and tells her she is a terrible spy. "What do you and I make of this messy love triangle? It's getting wild." Leo keeps sparring with Siegfried, and she can clearly see the massive skill gap between the two. Even Harrison acknowledges Leo's talent, but trust me, neither of them is happy about it. Back to the sparring session, or more accurately, Leo absolutely wiping the floor with Siegfried's pride. Harrison notices Leo's mana usage and realizes this guy is way more dangerous than he looks. Lady Alara even mentions how Leo's sword skills are actually more refined than his raw power. Harrison asks if she knows him well, but she quickly denies any connection to the commoner. Harrison knows she has a nasty personality, often threatening other students' lives if she's annoyed. Their chat is suddenly interrupted by the heated exchange between Leo and Siegfried. Lord Harrison thinks again about how he couldn't find a single trace of Leo's mysterious past. Hearing that Leo spent years on the battlefield completely spooks him out. Alara notes how it's been decades since the last major war broke out between the human kingdoms. Harrison responds that the only real wars they fight now are against the monsters within the Shadowlands. This surprises her, making her wonder if Leo is actually a war orphan from that dark continent. The Shadowlands are so dangerous that even after all her training, her noble parents forbade her from going. Realizing Leo survived that hell makes her fall for him even more, but she quickly gets angry at her own reaction. Later that day, Leo checks his system and sees he gained 1,400 points as his popularity starts soaring. His drone flies over, announcing that the footage he's been recording since his arrival is finally ready. Leo sits back and tries uploading the footage to his world's version of the magic mirror network. Now, pay attention. This is how he starts farming those easy recognition points. This should at least help him gather a steady stream of fame and power in this new world. The scene shifts to a portal in the Northshire Wilds, where they will take their next practical exam. This time, they have to fight monsters in a public arena so everyone can witness their classmates' skills. The test starts with the elite students dispatching trolls easily while keeping a close eye on our guy. A screech echoes as a massive ogre appears. One ogre? Forget that. You and I are looking at an entire army. The students are terrified and sprint toward the teleporter, only to find that it's completely broken. Leo gets a new side quest to stop 3 ogres while waiting for the teachers to handle the rest. He knows the teachers are only B rank, so they might not be enough. Sir Julian joins the fight immediately. Leo doesn't want anyone to die today, so he jumps into the fray to protect his classmates. Alara says her assassin skills aren't great for giants, but she joins anyway as Julian rushes forward. Julian jumps high and slams his blade into the back of the massive ogre's head. Harrison staggers it with magic, and the ogre falls. Leo slices its ankle while Julian uses ice magic for the final blow. Despite the heavy damage, the ogre refuses to die and tries to stand back up. Suddenly, a massive fire pillar hits its neck, finally killing it. Everyone realizes Leo cast that spell, and he worries he overdid it. With Julian and the others growing even more suspicious of his power, the tension starts to rise. He tells them to keep fighting, then opens the secret shop to buy a special combat item. He activates a skill cube immediately. Meanwhile, a top guild in the kingdom receives an urgent distress call. Commander Alistair sends a rescue team, hoping the students can hold out for 7 minutes until they arrive. He sees the 4 students, who already made a move against the monster horde. A woman walks in and corrects him, saying there are actually 5 students. This is Serafina, Alara's older sister. Serafina doesn't understand why her selfish sister joined the fight to save others. Alara prefers duels and lacks a righteous heart. Alistair tries to calm her, but she just brushes him off. They are amazed by the students' skills, but there's one boy they've never seen before. He can use quad casting as a freshman, and both high-ranking agents find his talent absolutely outstanding. This gives the commander hope they'll survive. They see Leo using a skill cube, which should be impossible now. After he leaves them speechless with his new skill, she says they must recruit him immediately. Alistair doesn't think a boy with such legendary talent will accept a simple invitation. Back in battle, Leo slices another ogre's neck, thankful for the massive speed boost from the cube. A bit later, another ogre falls, and the first part of the side quest is finally complete. Leo opens the potion loot box and gets lucky, pulling 2 excellent consumables for his journey. One power-up boosts his charm, making him weep with joy. So what do you and I take from this? Karma finally paid off. All right, you and I are about to watch Alistair use his rising fame to finally start his climb toward becoming a legendary hero. The scene shifts to the Shadow Realm, a cursed wasteland where the sun never shines and hope goes to die. Monsters here are so terrifying that warriors sell their souls for enough power to survive. During a lecture, a student asks who exactly buys these souls. The teacher explains they sign pacts with godlike beings, ancient entities that even the greatest heroes must strike deals with to win. But she makes one thing clear. There is a massive difference between a noble contract and selling your eternal soul for power. High-ranking knights can contact these gods, but even with divine help, surviving the depths of the Shadow Realm is nearly impossible. They watch a record of a knight getting torn apart by demons, as the teacher warns them to prepare their minds for such horror. Alistair is completely unfazed because he spent years surviving this hell in the game, knowing the others must harden their hearts soon. If these students truly want to become heroes of the realm, they have to face this grim reality head-on. Feeling a girl staring at him, Alistair awkwardly looks away, trying his best to avoid any unwanted eye contact in the classroom. Later in the Great Hall, Alistair takes a breather, mentally listing all the dangerous tasks he still needs to finish. He spots Lady Charlotte and invites her to join him. She agrees, though she still feels a bit nervous around him. He offers her a cup of spiced chocolate, making her face light up as they discuss the dungeon he wants her to enter. He reveals they aren't going to some ordinary ruin, but a legendary hidden vault, which leaves her completely speechless with shock. Now pay attention here. This is where Alistair starts building his elite squad by offering a share of the ancient runes. She worries if they can even clear it, but suddenly Lady Sienna appears like a jealous rival ready to cause a scene. Sienna demands to join them, claiming she just came to the hall for a rest, but her timing is way too convenient. Alistair doesn't buy it, but avoids a fight, politely asking her to leave since he is in the middle of business with Charlotte. Sienna whispers something about wanting to end him right there, but she eventually waves it off with a dramatic huff. She stomps away, leaving Charlotte to ask what happens if they both find the same rare ancient rune in the vault. He promises they will find a fair compromise. She then asks if the vault is easy enough for him to solo if needed. He admits he could solo the whole thing, but without her help, it would take a lifetime to finish the job. Sienna tries to force her way back into the conversation, and while Alistair is hesitant, he realizes she is a powerful asset. Plus, he only needs one specific relic from the depths of that place, so having more muscle isn't a bad thing. He agrees to let them both join, but hands them a magical oath contract, basically a blood-bound non-disclosure agreement. Meanwhile, Master Harlan remembers Alistair's cold stare during the lecture and wonders if the boy is actually a survivor of the Shadow Realm. If Alistair is a child of the demons, he is a walking time bomb that could bring the whole kingdom to ruin if he ever returns. Harlan fears Alistair might awaken dark memories within the royal lineage and decides he must be stopped before that happens. You and I both know that when the High Council gets involved, things are about to get 10 times more complicated. Back at the table, Alistair explains that breaking the magic oath will literally wipe their memories of everything he is about to say. He starts revealing the truth about their hidden potentials, telling Charlotte about her unique gifts before checking Sienna's status window. He spots a skill called flash thought, and Sienna is thrilled while Charlotte remains deep in her own silent reflections. When asked about their next move, Alistair tells them he needs their help to prevent the literal end of the world. He imagines himself saying that, but actually just asks them to join his new knightly order, which he promises will support them. The girls hesitate, but Alistair is fine with a rejection as long as they stay close allies for the future journey. Sienna eventually agrees to sign on, and Charlotte follows suit with a quiet, hesitant nod of her own. Alistair treats it like helping a friend, though Sienna definitely wasn't looking to stay in the friend zone today. They start planning their raid on the vault, and later that evening, Alistair heads out to spar with Sir Cedric. He is relieved to see Cedric isn't holding a grudge after getting completely humiliated during their last training duel. But before they begin, Alistair's magic eyes are swatted down by a new noble named Lady Natalia, a powerful duke's daughter. He summons another magic eye and floats it right in her face, which clearly gets under her skin immediately. The familiar dodges her strikes and zips around her head, making the noble lady absolutely furious at his disrespect. Alistair towers over her with a cold aura, telling her to be quiet and sit down. Natalia is stunned by his dominance. But he remembers her character from the game. Despite her bratty attitude, she folds instantly before someone with true skill. You and I just witnessed Alistair find his team's most chaotic and unexpected new member. Welcome back, because you and I are about to see how Arthur handles a very dangerous noble lady. Elinor is absolutely fuming as she slaps his hand away, but he just boldly places it back. She starts feeling those strange butterflies in her stomach. She tries hitting him with her training staff, but he effortlessly blocks her strike, even calling her a total dummy for trying. The tension is making her face flush bright red, and honestly, she's probably flustered everywhere else too. Without missing a beat, he asks about her father, the Duke, which completely catches even Sir Cedric off guard. Before she can even process the shock, he leans in closer and whispers something chilling about the Shadow Realm. Her expression goes totally blank. Arthur just casually turns to Cedric, saying he's finished and needs to go. Elinor collapses to her knees in shock, unaware that a shadowy figure is watching the whole encounter from above. The spy vanishes, but Sienna gives chase in her beast form, cornering him to ask why he's tracking Arthur. It's Balthazar, and he admits he's testing if Arthur is a child of the abyss, leaving Sienna to wonder why. Now watch this part closely. The air turns heavy as Sienna prepares her blade, but Balthazar pushes back with an ominous dark aura that actually forces her to retreat. Later that night in Arthur's chambers, he worries that the Duke might come for his head if Elinor tells him about their little talk today. He has Hal play his old memory logs from his past life, hearing his sister's voice and feeling incredibly lonely. He shakes off the sadness and goes for a walk, stopping at a tavern for a quintuple-shot black elixir. He takes a sip, and it's bitter, just like the life he's living right now. Helena creeps up behind him, giving him a bit of a startle. He asks her to stop sneaking around in her shadow form, but she just ignores him like always. He offers her a taste of the elixir, and one sip nearly makes her vomit from how disgusting it is. He tells her it's a black elixir with 5 shots. He mocks her for not being able to handle a simple drink, and his reverse psychology works like a charm. She shouts that she only stopped because it was his cup. She chugs the rest just to prove him wrong, struggling to keep it down while swearing it tastes delicious. He takes the cup back for a sip and asks why she's really here. She blushes, wanting to discuss her unawakened skills, but Arthur reminds her he'll explain everything once they finally reach the secret dungeon. She turns red again and asks if he'd like to join her on some assassination quests. Our man literally cannot believe she's actually asking him this right now. She offers to take on high-rank targets if he's bored, but just the thought of hunting humans makes Arthur shudder in fear. She remembers the murderous look in Balthazar's eyes and decides she has to stop him from killing Arthur. Not because she wants him safe, but because she wants to be his killer. Oh, how romantic. He refuses, but she insists it's the only way she can pay him back for unlocking her hidden potential. He wonders what's wrong with her, but then he sees her bright red face and stops. Wait, let's pause. He finally realizes this is actually her weird way of asking him out on a date. He musters the courage to agree, making her look happy in a way that's actually kind of terrifying. She keeps talking about murder as they spend the rest of the night wandering together. The next day in class, they study dungeon mechanics, and Arthur remembers his time as a famous pro adventurer. The professor gives them a difficult assignment, but while others struggle, Arthur finishes his in a literal heartbeat. Charles, Hugo, and even Sienna try to copy his work, but he decides to teach them the fundamentals instead. The other students notice his brilliance, causing his prestige in the academy to skyrocket. He draws an intricate magic circle right there to explain the theory, and suddenly, a majestic bird made of pure mana manifests, leaving the entire class stunned. He realizes that if he perfects this, he can create the world's first sentient magic enchantments. Later, he heads to the training grounds and spots both Sir Cedric and Alina practicing there. He walks right up and dominantly tells her to scram, which just makes her blush and tremble all over. Arthur figures he's safe from her father since the girl is clearly too distracted. He takes Cedric away so they can finally spar properly. Julian arrives at the training grounds and is blown back by the sheer power radiating from inside. He steps inside and is shocked to see Arthur holding his own against Cedric's relentless blade. Trust me, you and I are going to want to see this duel. Arthur's technique is absolutely otherworldly, and it's making Julian desperate to join the fight. Let's dive into this epic journey together. Arthur shatters Alaric's blade again. Alaric is improving so fast that Arthur is actually left gasping for air. Suddenly, Sir Gareth crashes down like a warhammer, screaming Arthur's name at the top of his lungs. Arthur is shocked to see him, but Gareth bellows for a duel and keeps on screaming for one like a complete and total madman. Arthur knows one hit from Gareth would be fatal, so he retreats instantly, claiming he is just far too exhausted. That night, Arthur and his squad gather in the library, hiding the secret entrance to the ancient catacombs. Arthur activates a hidden mechanism, and a glowing magical portal erupts from the shelves right before them. Elara tries to enter, but Arthur stops her and uses a spell to buff her mind. He does the same for Charlotte, and they both practically glow. The time has come, and Arthur leads the way through the swirling portal. Inside the dungeon, Arthur conjures a light. They have entered a sewer that once served as a secret sanctuary for some truly dangerous monsters. Arthur gives the order for the girls to attack, while he scouts ahead using his mechanical drones. Our hero strikes a ridiculous pose, and honestly, the ladies are not impressed by his theatrics at all. He starts planning dramatic titles for his magic recording, but the girls are still just cringing at him. Charlotte wonders if it is okay to share this dungeon with the world, but Arthur is only thinking of loot. The difficulty spikes. Hearing screeches from the shadows is terrifying as dark specters begin their sudden ambush. Steel won't work, so he uses magic. Charlotte unleashes a lightning spell that looks just like flowing water. Now pure electricity is surging directly out of the liquid. On Arthur's command, Charlotte rains down lightning from the back. She enchants their blades so they can finally shred those ghosts, and it works perfectly. As they finish the wave, Arthur shouts that they must keep one of the specters alive. Now watch this. A massive horde appears, and Arthur says he has a plan despite their visible panic. Elara is skeptical because Arthur looks way too calm, but his worn-out face shows he is actually struggling. If they get surrounded, it is over. Luckily, they wipe them all out and a massive pile of mana stones drops. Elara asks about the survivor, and Arthur begins drawing a glowing magic circle on the cold stone floor. He traps the ghost inside a shimmering cube, channeling his mana to seal the dark creature away. He earns a dark stone. Elara is confused, so Arthur asks for her dagger to show her a trick. He merges the stone with the blade, instantly granting the weapon a powerful and sinister shadow affinity. Elara still does not get it, But the moment she grips the hilt, she feels the difference. She tests the edge with a few swings and is stunned by the dagger's new power. You feel that too, right? Alara's loyalty is skyrocketing even though she used to hate his guts, and seeing it hit 70 makes Arthur sweat. Arthur decides it's time to check his standing with Charlotte as well. Seeing her loyalty is only at 31 hurts because the blonde beauty just isn't into him. They clear the dungeon and Arthur records it all, while Alara keeps admiring her upgraded shadow dagger. She flashes him a rare smile. Arthur suddenly remembers her role in the original game world. She was a cold-blooded assassin who never smiled. It's creepy that such a killer is into him. The group pushes deeper into the darkness until they finally reach the massive boss chamber. Charlotte and Alara beg for a rest because the dungeon is way more dangerous than expected. He pulls out a literal mountain of potions, making the girls wonder if he's the richest noble. Better safe than sorry, he says, as they wonder about his wealth. They wonder if his father is a wealthy merchant king, while Arthur panics to hide his luck. He quickly changes the subject to the boss, guessing it's likely a high-ranking ghoul waiting. After they drink buffs, Arthur pushes the doors open to find a single, lonely ghoul waiting. He draws his sword, but one look from the monster sends a chill down his spine. He screams for them to move as the ghoul's attack shatters the floor. Arthur is worried because Charlotte cannot even track its high-speed movements. It gets worse. This monster possesses a legendary ability known as space control, which is rare. An S-rank ability on a boss. Yeah, things just got very real. And that's where we leave it for now. Trust me, you and I are about to witness an absolutely epic boss fight. All right, stick with me, because we are about to see one of the most insane dungeon boss fights ever. Alistair is struggling to maintain his range while dodging, but a sudden strike nearly takes his head off right now. Arthur realizes the beast cannot focus on two targets at once, and plans a coordinated assault with the others to finally slay it for good. First things first, is the scrying crystal still active? He is definitely not trying to find a corpse in these whispering woods today. He downs several magical elixirs, throwing his natural pride out the window. He pauses for a dramatic pose, already crafting the perfect sensational headline for his followers. Back home, Arthur was known as a glory hound. He raises his shield and chugs potions like they are refreshing juice, fueling a massive burst of speed as he dashes forward, landing a perfect strike on the ghoul's neck. Now pay attention, because the ghoul is about to learn it is already dead in both worlds. The massive strain on Arthur's body finally hits him, and he collapses into a dead faint right there. The ladies rush to his side as he mutters about his imminent death, but they tell him to just rest. Rewards keep flashing before his eyes for slaying the monster, and he chooses to inspect the mysterious cube first. He asks the ladies if he can keep the blue core for himself. He is being cheeky since he knows it is an S-rank item with spatial powers. They divide the rest of the mountain of gold and can't believe the fortune they just made. Still, Arthur wonders why the dungeon remains open after the boss died, so he decides to loot every single brick. He later recovers in his manor, exhausted from nearly dying in the rift. Overdoing it is his middle name. He reviews the crystal recordings, missing the days when he had a whole team of scribes doing this for him. His last post about the ogre attack was a massive success, earning him 1,200 reputation points. Plus, the girls want to meet tomorrow to finish splitting the spoils of war. He is worried about the sudden difficulty spike, but figures his high luck stat pulled them through safely. He starts worrying about potential enemies and suddenly remembers a dangerous rival. He needs a sovereign crest to deal with him, which is an official identification card issued by the crown. Meanwhile, we now see Lord Silas. He is absolutely furious that on top of Julian and Hansel, he now has Arthur to worry about. He has no idea where this boy even came from at all. Lady Julian drops by to mock his foul mood, and he is clearly not happy to see her face. She offers her help, but starts by insulting his weak magical prowess. Talk about adding insult to injury. She claims even Arthur has a weakness, and Silas listens closely to find out what she is planning. She explains that the Order of the Black Rose would be the perfect place for a man like him. Silas hopes his new skills will help him crush his rivals, while Julian leaves him feeling very suspicious about her true motives. Back at the castle training grounds, Arthur enters a high-level magical chamber to begin his solo practice. You and I know Arthur is a grinder, and this new spatial skill, it is absolutely broken compared to any of his old ones. He is here to master his spatial awareness, so he can use the ghoul's powers with absolute perfection. His familiar reminds him of his lunch date with Celine and Alistair, but all he wants is more power. He unleashes a spell that craters the floor, but it is not quite as clean as the boss's version yet. He keeps training and digging holes like he is building a dirt hut on his first night. He has another experiment in mind. He attempts to delete a massive area in front of him, focusing on the empty void left behind. In a game, this would cause a glitch, but here it works as he grabs an empty bottle to exploit this huge loophole. He literally bottles the destroyed space, creating a legendary item called a potion of boundless void. He is ecstatic because this kind of alchemy has never been seen in the entire kingdom before. The value is insane because when the bottle breaks, the compressed space explodes back to its original size. Imagine if he adds fire. It becomes a massive bomb or even a wide-scale healing spell. This makes him want to go back to the dungeon, but after a day, he's already complaining about the boredom. Good Lord, here she comes again, stealing my heart once more. Lady Seraphina greets Arthur warmly, asking when their next assassination mission begins. How could he ever be repulsed by such a beauty? He tells her she must train harder before his magical enhancement fades, and she obediently agrees to his terms. And that is where we leave them. Trust me, you are definitely going to want to see what happens when they embark on their next mission in the heart of the capital. All right, you and I are jumping back in as she looks for a crowded place to visit. He suggests she should train at the hall, but Catherine arrives asking why he looks so grim, only for Liam to ignore her and split the loot. The girls find skill cubes and are truly ecstatic. After absorbing them, Catherine wants a test run, so Liam lets her cast a massive lightning spell. This time she shapes it into a spear, and Liam remembers that her weapon was legendary in the game. It is a great start, and her outfit definitely adds some extra visual flair. One swing shatters the earth, which shocks her. Meanwhile, Sarah tests her shadow form, which basically lets her fly through the darkness. It massively boosts her shadow dagger damage. But that loving gaze just confuses Liam, leaving him feeling incredibly nervous and parched. Later, at the massive Sterling auction house, Liam is greeted by a clerk who hands over a card and asks why he is here. Liam asks for an appraisal, and the clerk's expression turns deadly serious immediately. He is shocked a student holds such a rare and valuable treasure. After some testing, he asks to analyze the complex magic circle. Liam refuses, saying he will post every detail on his channel, telling the guy to like and subscribe with notifications on. Make sure you subscribe right now too. The clerk says these items will be the highlight of the night. Soon enough, we see everyone talking about the special, high-value item that is going to be auctioned off today. Lady Guinevere of the Raven Group demands they secure this item, regardless of the final price. She is discussing business when Liam's loud snoring interrupts her, making her blood boil instantly. As she storms out, she gives awaking Liam a terrifying death glare. But her stunning beauty would put a smile on any man's face. Soon, the auction begins and the first items are Liam's kits. Starting at 100 million gold, the bidding war begins. Guinevere doubles the opening bid as others follow, but she outbids them until the price hits 400 million gold. Liam recognizes her as the sister of a powerful duke and knows that befriending her will give him a massive advantage later. Their limit is 1 billion gold. This was exactly what Liam wanted, as he has been spying on them with a drone. He is getting a huge payday. His 3 kits sell for a total of 5.4 billion gold, crushing every other record today. Next, the auctioneer reveals a mysterious egg that could not even be appraised by the top experts. Now pay attention. Liam uses his ability and freezes in shock. His eyes widen as he realizes it is a double S-rank young dragon egg. He must win this at all costs, as taming a dragon is a truly legendary feat. The price shoots to 200 million gold, leaving Liam stunned by the competition. He doubles it to 500 million gold, hoping nobody else challenges him, but he definitely caught Guinevere's attention. He is lucky no one knew its true value, as his funds were getting dangerously low. Usually, a dragon takes the first person it sees as its parent. He approaches Guinevere, but a guard blocks him while she coldly asks what he wants. Liam is confused by her intense and sudden anger toward him. Knowing his charm is very low, he explains he is the one who crafted the kits she bought. He hands her his card, letting her decide if he is telling the truth. She takes the risk, pushes her guard aside, and accepts his personal card. He says he looks forward to their deal, then turns and walks away. Once he is gone, she realizes the guy is actually incredibly ugly. Meanwhile, Liam is in his room feeding the egg his blood. The egg absorbs it while he gives more, so the drone warns him to slow down before he faints. He pours his mana into it, desperately waiting for the creature to finally hatch. Trust me, even though he played the game a lot, he is still terrified. The drone warns him to stop, and he finally listens. All right, stick with me because you and I are about to dive into a world where ancient legends are finally becoming very real. It features the dark dragon Malachor and none other than the legendary knight, Lord Cedric. They clash in an epic duel of flames and steel. Arthur watches, terrified of Lord Cedric's power while clutching his mysterious egg. He warns the shell that if it hatches into a monster, he will personally have to take it down. Next day, the students mock him for carrying that giant egg, though some notice Arthur is looking way more handsome lately. Some students argue over it, but Arthur knows his secret charm potion is slowly turning him into a heartthrob. But the change is too slow. He is sick of the constant insults and needs results now. Now pay attention, because Sir Alistair, a legendary S-rank knight, just stepped onto the training grounds for the test. Arthur knows the gap is massive. Most A-rank warriors can only dream of reaching that godly level of power. Sir Alistair announces that specialized weapon drills start this week. He tells the students to choose their primary tool of destruction once more. Arthur notices that most knights are grabbing heavy swords, while the scholars reach for their enchanted wooden wands. No surprise there, Lord Cedric does not need a blade when his own fists do all the talking. Even Roland goes empty-handed, but a girl picking up a bow catches Arthur's eye. He remembers her from the records. He scans her stats and is shocked to find her elemental focus is already fully awakened. But her hidden skill, split persona, is the real prize. It allows her to change her entire stat build by switching personalities. In the future, she is going to be one of the strongest warriors in the entire kingdom. Arthur decides to make her an ally. Now it is his turn to pick, and he chooses both a sword and a wand. Master Hayne nods, saying he expected this from a talent like Arthur. You and I saw that coming, but here is the catch. Master Hayne warns that even a genius can fail by being too ambitious, and the other students are seething with pure jealousy. Back in his chambers, he prepares to feed the egg his blood and mana while filming the whole process. He is already imagining the massive engagement this video is going to get on the Vision Crystal Network. The ritual nearly makes him pass out, but he does not care. Suddenly, the shell finally begins to crack open. After giving dozens of liters of his own blood, a claw pokes out, greedily absorbing mana through the cracks. Suddenly, the whole egg just bursts with incredible energy. A tiny, adorable dragon is born. Arthur is mesmerized by the little creature and names his new companion Frost. He checks the dragon's stats and is blown away by the incredible power hidden in such a small body. With a dragon heart providing infinite mana, Arthur is thrilled to have such a legendary pet by his side. They fall asleep together, But Arthur wakes up at midnight to check his growing fame and those precious recognition points. The little dragon wakes up, and Arthur pets it so much he almost sets its tiny head on fire. He decides to gamble his points on loot boxes, while the drone mentions how charm potions would be perfect for his online persona. Arthur opens the chests and finds more of those powerful enhancement elixirs. Every one of them boosts his charm stat. The scene shifts to a massive spire where Lady Isabella is spying on Duke Valerius and his family member, who is making secret moves. Maybe I should just gouge her eyes out, Sean thinks. She remembers Arthur, who is already leading his own group and wielding both steel and sorcery with insane talent. She wonders why Arthur refused her invitation to join their order, then leaps off the roof like a shadow, slipping into the vents. She takes down the guards with surgical precision, silent, fast, and completely lethal. Reaching her target, she ends his life before he can even finish his sentence, straight to the afterlife. The thrill of the hunt makes her blush. Next morning, Arthur wakes up with his dragon curled up beside him. The main quest is about to begin, so he tells his drone to keep a close eye on Frost while he is in the classroom. He needs to find a way to control massive amounts of energy before his dragon grows up. He heads to the underworld to find answers and gets a message from Lady Alara, who needs to meet immediately. Everything is going exactly as he planned. He is going to crush this first main quest easily. Arthur and Lady Alara meet at the testing grounds. She's still thinking about how expensive those items were. So what do you and I take from this? Those mysterious cubes are years ahead of anything this kingdom has seen. Trust me, it's about to get wild. Lady Gillian can't fathom how a common student like Leo crafted these artifacts. You and I are about to see her try to recruit him at any cost. Leo recognizes this site from the legends and tells Gillian to issue a top-tier danger alert. This involves using hundreds of mana crystals to build magic barriers that are normally reserved only for the most cataclysmic high-level explosions. She follows Leo's lead as he warns that the shockwave will rival a massive volcanic eruption. She's terrified when he reveals a glowing vial. It looks beautiful, but Leo knows it belongs in the dark lands. She screams for Leo to get back inside the safety zone. But watch how confident he is. Leo's just built different. He tosses the vial like a grenade, and as it shatters, a massive blue explosion erupts that he blocks with pure magic. A second blast follows, but Leo holds his ground and blocks it too. He's no fool. He staged this whole display just to skyrocket his personal stats. He needed a safe place to avoid casualties, so the kingdom's testing grounds were the only option. The blast leaves a massive crater everywhere except right behind Leo, and he realizes doing this a second time would definitely kill him. His magic mastery hits B rank, while his space control reaches C rank. These gains usually take months, but the knights watching look like they've just seen a literal ghost. While the explosion raged, Gillian thought that while the potion's power was impressive, Leo standing there and blocking it with ease was even more incredible. It makes her terrified of Leo ever becoming her enemy. She's certain his mana-controlling skill is beyond even S rank, especially while he's just a student. She regains her composure and starts walking over to him now. Talk about an epic shot. The next day, Leo attends a lecture on the basics of dungeon raiding. The other students wonder if he's using illusion magic, because his features suddenly look sharper and more noble than ever before. He's relieved his charm boosts actually worked. Even at 15, he's looking sharp, since 40 makes you a world-class model people adore. Still, for someone like Selena, even with her charm stat over 40, her toxic personality ruins everything. Trust me, you and I have both seen that type before. The instructor announces they're forming 10 groups of 5, requiring a specific mix of long-range casters and short-range physical attackers. They need 2 supports and a tank. Leo's taking the tank role, with Anna as their long-range caster and Liam on support duty. Serafina joins as their primary attacker, while the final support role goes to a girl named Julia. They have 1 hour to plan before the actual combat phase of the test begins. Leo isn't thrilled with his team members, especially Julia. He starts explaining the tank's role, but we already know all about that drill. Julia complains that having a 500th ranked student like Leo will ruin their chances. But Serafina shuts her down, mocking a lowly 30th ranked noble for talking so much. Julia is absolutely fuming. Leo can't believe the drama, but they are teenagers. Actually, I take back what I said about Serafina. The bickering continues until Julia snidely praises Leo for reaching his rank without any noble family name. This silences Serafina, which Julia loves because she's implying Serafina only has her rank because of her rich family. Serafina stays stoic but reaches for her hidden blade, and Julia's smug smile instantly vanishes once she feels that murderous intent surging out. Leo steps in to stop Serafina from ending Julia, reminding them they have a real test to prepare for. This calms Serafina down, especially after he touches her shoulder, making the fierce warrior blush like a maiden. She lets it go for now, but Julia's still shaking. Leo can't believe they almost got themselves expelled today. The first group is up. Hans steps in as the tank against a massive ogre. Leo knows this is child's play for Hans after everything they've survived together lately. The ogre swings a heavy fist, but Hans uses telekinesis to divert the blow and make it miss. He sidesteps perfectly, and Leo is impressed by how well Hans is controlling the monster's attention. Moments later, the beast falls. Hans and his team clear the entire raid in just under 9 minutes. The other students are stunned seeing Hans use telekinesis with one hand and spells with the other. Now it's Group 2's turn with Julian tanking. They finish in 10 minutes and 4 seconds. Next up, Group 4. Gilbert leads the charge as their long-range caster, making all the ladies swoon. He dodges some attacks, retreats, and activates his double fire circle magic. Leo is shocked to see that he's already unlocked the rare magic replication skill. And that's where we leave it. You and I are about to see things get even crazier. Arthur is gutted he couldn't flip Gawain to his side because that guy is going to be a total nightmare later. He's literally weighing if he should end Gawain now before he becomes unstoppable. Stick with me here, because Arthur's squad is about to do something crazy. They decide to completely blank Lady Julia during the entire raid. After that brutal training at the testing grounds, he's confident enough to take down a massive mountain ogre all by himself. But since the others need the experience, he tells them they have to clear this in under 7 minutes. The girls think he's absolutely lost his mind with those standards. But Arthur just charges in, reaching the beast in seconds. He effortlessly blocks the ogre's massive fist, sending the monster into a blind rage. He's drawing all the heat now, but the next swing is lightning fast, and Arthur barely catches it on his blade. He's actually wondering how Sir Gawain managed to drop a beast like this using nothing but his bare fists. He spots an opening for his spatial distortion skill, aiming right for the shoulder, but the ogre actually dodges his strike. Now watch this part closely. He's shocked the beast moved, but he's already carved a path for the archers to start raining hell on that spot. Alara uses her shadow step to blink behind it, driving her enchanted dagger deep into the bleeding wound. The ogre tries to recover, but Arthur is already lining up the other shoulder, and the beast panics, dodging right into the wrong direction, putting its own neck on the chopping block, and Arthur is actually worried this might end the fight way too fast. Elena draws her longbow as Lady Julia ignites a massive fire circle. Alara doesn't hesitate for a second, either. Under that combined magical onslaught, the ogre wobbles for a heartbeat before crashing down to the ground like a tired beast. They cleared it in 3 minutes and 43 seconds. The rest of the students are standing there with their jaws on the floor. Arthur is actually stressed out because overperforming like this is just going to make his future even more difficult. No use crying over it now, so he signals his magic eye to get a good shot. He strikes a hero's pose while secretly dying inside. The practical exam is finally over, and Arthur is satisfied. That 3% royalty deal on magic items will provide a solid passive income. He knows Lady Gwen didn't just sign because of the gear. She's far more calculating and cunning than she lets on. She wants to keep him on a short leash, which suits him fine since it gets him closer to her brother, Gawain. He is hoping to steer the guy toward the light before he falls into darkness and becomes a villain later. You and I both know allies are everything here, so winning over Lady Julia is his next play to secure her family's massive influence. He has even secured a top honorary position in Gwen's noble trade house, the Sterling Group. Then he spots Alina looking absolutely radiant over there, and he is not used to seeing her like that compared to the past. Suddenly, a massive explosion rocks the academy. As they rush out, a building is already crumbling. The dark prophecy is finally beginning. 200 mercenaries and nearly 900 monsters are swarming the grounds. Arthur knew this would be brutal, but he is prepared. He calls for Cedric and Lucas, demanding they help save the fleeing civilians. Cedric nods, but Lucas looks completely skeptical. He also recruits the knights Sergei and Charles, then tries to pull Gawain and Lady Julia into the mix, too. Both flatly refuse, choosing to fight alone, forcing Arthur to roar for everyone to listen to his orders. He explains the academy is magically sealed, no way out and zero contact with the world. Everyone starts to panic as the reality sinks in. He hands out maps to everyone, but Lucas demands to know how he has all this secret intel. Arthur stays quiet, and Lucas warns him there will be an interrogation once this is over. Arthur knows he's being watched very closely. He quickly deploys Sergei, Charles, and Isabella to the command center. Isabella is stunned by how perfectly he is analyzing the battlefield. She tries to press him for answers, but he just tells her they will talk later before the three of them bolt. He tries giving a map to Sir Gawain, but the guy just brushes him off, leaving Arthur fuming but still hopeful. He then approaches Alina for help, which absolutely terrifies her because she never expected to be called on like this. He tells her having an elite archer is vital, but he's really trying to force her hidden power to awaken through combat. Her knees are shaking from the pure dread, but Arthur gently takes her hand, promising she will be safe in the back. Together, they sprint straight into the heart of the chaos. Outside the gates, the instructors are desperate to get in, but an unbreakable barrier is blocking every single entrance. They realize this was a calculated strike designed specifically to trap the students inside. Lord Alaric draws his blade to strike again. He knows every second is a life lost and wonders who could possibly orchestrate such a nightmare. The enemy is already inside. He prepares his ultimate technique, the blade that cleaves the sky. This is a devastating holy art, one Alaric had to strike a dangerous pact with a high deity just to obtain. And trust me, you and I are about to see if he is willing to sacrifice his own arm just to save his students. All right, you and I are about to see a knight give everything to break a truly impossible magic seal. He pumps more mana into his blade, but a voice from inside stops him. It is Arthur, calling his own teacher a complete idiot for trying such a reckless and dangerous sword attack. This makes Sir Alaric absolutely furious at him. But losing focus for a split second causes him to collapse. Channeling that much power really took its toll. Inside the academy walls, chaos reigns as ancient dragons begin hunting down the terrified and helpless students. Arthur and Beatrice rush to the sanctum where she will hold the line. He has brought high-grade magic stones to shatter the barrier, but he is starting to worry they just will not be enough. Beatrice puts an arrow right through a dragon's eye, and Arthur is relieved to see she is holding her own. Time is running out. Arthur remembers that in the original history, Sir Alaric lost his arm here and fell into despair. If he can save that arm, Alaric might reach the legendary double S rank. Suddenly, the barrier starts to tremble violently. That is when we return to the present with Arthur, just barely cracking the magic seal open. Forcing his way through to scream at his stubborn teacher. Fainting is a lot better than losing a whole limb. Another master thanks Arthur for the save, but demands to know how a student broke such high-level magic. Arthur plays the fool to hide his true power, claiming he learned it at a summer job before making a run for it. Returning to the fray, he notices Alara is reaching her limit. He needs a way to trigger her hidden, darker personality. They sprint toward the flames while he checks his quest progress. Things are looking great so far, so the two of them head for the forbidden research vaults to find a legendary treasure item hidden deep within the academy walls. But there is trouble. Ruthless mercenaries have already slaughtered the guards and are closing in on the very same prize Arthur is hunting for. The heart of the first Titan. Now watch closely, because this item changes everything for us. Leading these thugs is Julian, a rank mercenary from the Shadow Fang. His men start breaking the vault defenses to reach the glowing core of the ancient giant. And Julian orders his crew to find the head scholar. They need him to actually activate the ancient item, too. But they do not need his legs. A brave guard charges in to stop them, but he gets taken out faster than a candle in a storm. The mercenary spots Arthur's potion bomb, which explodes in his face with the force of a falling star. Arthur is lurking in the shadows, taking them out with bombs, while Alara trembles with fear behind him. The sight of the bodies makes her gag, but Arthur forcefully tells her to get it together. His goal is to force her lethal second personality to wake up, and honestly, I hope she is the terrifying kind. She tries to breathe, but the pressure of the slaughter is making her blood boil. She realizes it is either kill these bandits or be the one who ends up dead. Suddenly, something inside her snaps. Even Arthur starts to feel the chill. Her multi-personality trait is so powerful it starts affecting everyone nearby. The transformation is almost complete. Two B-rank mercenaries block their path. Arthur charges in first, his steel clashing against their heavy blades. These guys are elite, but Arthur is loving the challenge. Then, Alara moves with the speed of a falling star. With a terrifying, twisted grin on her face, she dives into the bloody melee. Her wild strikes push the mercenary back, but a desperate counter slice barely misses her, cutting the ribbon from her hair. That look in her eyes, you and I both know it is over. The slaughterer personality has finally arrived. Arthur is thrilled to see her true form, especially since the mercenaries look absolutely terrified of her now. She has become the ultimate predator, simply toying with her prey before the final blow. She carves through the bandit like it is nothing at all. Within seconds, two high-level fighters are dead, leaving Arthur in total shock. As he walks past the carnage, he wonders if his friend is back. But the sight of the Titan's heart makes him forget everything else. The bandits did the hard work already. He grabs the loot and calls for Alara, but she stays silent, locked in her primal killing instinct. So Arthur tells her there are more people left to hunt down, which grabs her attention immediately. He is actually a bit nervous, so he gently pats her head to calm her. Her smile is terrifying, but as he turns to leave, she pulls him back with a much calmer expression. It is a relief that her killer side actually considers him a friend. They head out together, only to find a dozen more mercenaries waiting outside. Arthur just nods to Alara, giving her the green light to go wild. And that is where we leave it. Trust me, you are going to want to see what happens next. All right, you and I are about to see Arthur and Alaric lose their minds over Cedric's suspiciously perfect map. Alaric thinks about how if Cedric ever turned into a villain, they would be in massive trouble because this level of intel beats even the most elite great houses. Arthur is just being his usual naive self, claiming it does not matter how Cedric got the map if it works. Even Charles and Sergi are impressed, but Seraphina's sudden departure with Cedric alone definitely raises some eyebrows among the remaining squires. They find Arthur to report in, but a massive tremor suddenly shatters the brief moment of peace. Duke Roland rushes in for backup, and Alaric, calm as ever, demands to know what is happening. Roland points to the Grand Conservatory, and Alaric instantly knows they are after the legendary primal heart. The Duke confirms the nightmare, and they immediately charge toward the center of the chaos. They arrive to find the ground, literally paved, with hundreds of fallen thugs and bandits. Now pay attention, because even though Cedric and Seraphina are surrounded, they are fighting bandits that just won't stop spawning. Seraphina is having the absolute time of her life, toying with the bandits before sending them to the afterlife. Not even a surprise back attack hits her as she dodges sideways with ease. Cedric helps her get back in the fray. Imagine seeing this falling from the sky right onto you. Another one down. A single glare from her sends the remaining cowards running like they left the stove on back home. Cedric wipes them out with space magic, leaving even a legend like Duke Roland in total shock. We finally learn that the Shadow Wolves and the Order of the Rose were the masterminds behind this raid. Their preparation was flawless, but they were completely destroyed. The hooded leader is reeling. It is like someone read their secret playbook word for word. Even Lord Blackwood, the elite leader of the Shadow Wolves, is completely baffled by the situation. He wonders if Duke Roland figured it all out, but it is still literally impossible for anyone to have guessed their plan so well. Every single move they made was stopped beforehand. Okay, I know what you're thinking. They've already lost, right? Well, they failed both goals, the heart and the students. Running out of options, he signals the surviving rats to initiate their backup plan immediately. He's going to blow up the Squire's Hall while most students are sheltering there, far away from Cedric and Duke Roland at the Grand Conservatory. New monsters and barriers are triggered to ensure no one reaches the dorms in time to stop them. He is confident because this hidden plan is something absolutely no one should be able to predict. Back at the front, Cedric is hitting his limit while Seraphina looks like she just finished a light stroll. Seeing the new barrier, Cedric realizes they have switched to Plan B, and Blackwood is in for a nasty surprise. Cedric buys some emergency recovery items and luckily scores a high-grade dragon sedative from the system. The system claims his luck is peaking, just as a scout drone confirms the Squire's Hall is already under fire. Two grandmasters reach the dorms and marvel at the defense ward before starting to tear it down. It will take time, and they are stunned a student supposedly broke the outer wall in just 1 hour. Even with a leak, that job should have taken a professional team at least 4 hours to complete. And Blackwood says the reports claim it was a student. The barrier mage's instincts scream of danger, and he desperately warns his leader to watch out. The wall shatters. Blackwood orders the detonation, but the building starts shaking before he can even blink. A loud scream scares them as Blackwood starts to choke. He reached Grandmaster status through extortion by stealing a dragon scale, but it left him cursed. He is generally strong, but drastically weakened by anything containing dragon blood. The thugs freeze as a young girl appears, letting out a roar that nearly stops Blackwood's heart. Realizing Bianca has dragon blood, the villain practically stains his pants brown in fear. He desperately tries to find a way out and yells for everyone to retreat while slamming down a smoke bomb. He opens a portal, but hurls a madness potion at the girl to turn her into a mindless beast. The vial flies directly at the dragon girl, but now, back to the present. Cedric wonders how they handled Bianca, but first, he needs the students to help clear the barrier monsters. They all agree and get to work. After clearing the path, Cedric leaves the students with the monsters and reaches Bianca, just in time as a potion is about to be forced down her throat. So, you and I just watched him figure it out, and catch that vial while landing with pure aura. All right, you and I are jumping back in. The elixir is worth a fortune, and little Lily is calling him father while hugging him tight. Arthur is glad she can take human form now, but she is nearly in tears because he left her all alone. The other knights find Arthur, and he spots a dirk on the floor. James is horrified by Arthur's supposed marriage, but Henry explains this girl cannot be his real daughter. They notice her tail, and James wonders if Arthur is secretly married to some kind of dragon queen. He cannot bring himself to deny she is his daughter, while she is looking up at him with those big, puppy eyes. So he just plays along, claiming she is his child, hoping they will realize the truth since she clearly has a dragon tail. Later that night, Seraphina is glowing as she remembers Arthur's heroics, but she is still incredibly jealous of Isabella fighting by his side. Finding out he has a daughter makes her feel hollow and broken. She has never felt this kind of sting before. She downs a 5-shot black brew which still tastes like dirt. She sighs about missing Arthur, then turns bright red once she realizes what she said. She realizes she could just eliminate Arthur's wife and decides to find him to ask if he is actually married. Suddenly, he appears right behind her, and Seraphina immediately blurs out a question regarding his child. Arthur explains she recently hatched from a dragon egg and took him as her father. Now pay attention. This is the massive wave of relief Seraphina needed. He returns her blade and walks away. Once he is gone, she is left standing there dying of pure embarrassment. She is relieved there is no wife, but now she wonders who Arthur really is to be raising a literal dragon. The scene shifts to Arthur in his quarters, carefully inspecting the heart of an ancient titan. He tells Hans to sell the loot since he is heading to the underworld soon, then checks his rewards. 2 buffs, rare loot, and 3,000 honor points. He also opens the magic shop to decide what supplies he needs for his upcoming visit to the Shadow Realm. Later, he starts a magic broadcast with his baby dragon, making the viewers go into a frenzy and earning him some easy honor points. The next day, Arthur visits the testing grounds where Gwen greets him, looking quite pleased to see him again. But she definitely senses something is different about Arthur, as if he has become a completely different person. She mentions the change, and he just laughs it off, knowing it is because his charm stat has increased significantly. She hands him a new prototype kit based on his own gear, and then takes him on a tour of the laboratory. At the Mana Stone Station, Arthur asks about their efficiency. Hearing it is only 30%, he knows they are leaving gold on the table. Meeting with Lord Harold, Arthur proposes a wager on who can create a more efficient mana charger using the same magic stone. If he wins the bet, he wants to broadcast the entire process to the public. The Lord agrees so long as Arthur keeps the lab's secrets off the record. He grabs a green gem and strikes a pose for the viewers. 10 minutes later, Arthur's done. He caps the stone at 40%, even though he could have easily hit 90%. He figures if he slowly breaks the limits, he can keep getting paid. He checks Lord Harold's work first. Harold managed a 5% boost, and the staff is floored. Then they test Arthur's stone, which is sitting at 47.9. Everyone is in total disbelief. And honestly, let's pause, because even Arthur didn't expect to overdo it this much. He strikes a victory pose for the recording because he won the bet. Heading home, he notices his status window is looking better than ever. The most important change is his charm stat. It is now over 20, meaning he is finally becoming a real looker. He meets James and Henry, whose cynical face makes him cringe. He spots Seraphina and waves, hoping she will rescue him from Henry's boring lecture. But she just glares and vanishes into the shadows. Yeah, our boy is in deep trouble. James asks why Seraphina is so mad at him. Arthur claims they are just friends, but the others whisper about how she is clearly acting strange for a reason. James mocks him for being a master of blade and spell, but a total idiot when it comes to women. Arthur finally connects the dots, realizing she is jealous because of how well he worked with Isabella earlier. In class, the instructor explains magic barriers. She describes them as a mix of circuits and circles that control the surrounding space. Apparently, the archmage who built the Academy's magic defense system has vanished without a trace. Arthur knows this makes the man look highly guilty, making the Academy wary of more spies like him. The teacher announces that a new barrier will be set up by trusted nobles and top-tier students. As she asks if Arthur is interested, he smiles, saying barriers are his hobby. She tells him to stay for a talk after class. She admits that what he did, shattering the last barrier, usually takes at least 1 or 2 decades of study to master. Arthur ignores the lesson, only wanting to find a gift for Seraphina, and trust me, you and I know he has got work to do. Stick with me, Leo is about to face his destiny. The Magister ignores his past, but asks for his help reinforcing the kingdom's ancient protective barrier. She wants Leo to oversee 𝒂𝒂𝒚 channeling and asks if he will enter the grand tourney for the realm's best students. He agrees immediately, since winning means he can leave the academy early. After their meeting, Leo debates contacting Lady Isabella again. His familiar, Halen, pushes him to do it, and getting romance advice from a magical spirit definitely was not on his list of goals. He reaches out, and by the end of their talk, he has secured a dangerous shadow hunt with Lady Isabella herself. We shift to Alistair, the eldest son of the Sterling house. Reporting to Duke Sterling, Alistair apologizes for the failed mission, but his father tells him to stop groveling like a common coward. Arthur listens in, knowing that Mount Lion is the only sanctuary in the Blighted Lands that has not been overrun by demonic forces. Even his legendary brother, a master knight, struggles to reach it. The Duke then summons Cedric, the second son, to ask about the whispers in the criminal underworld. Cedric explains that 2 legendary artifacts will be sold at auction, and the Duke orders both him and Arthur to attend the event. The Duke summons Arthur, who answers nervously, knowing he only exists in this room because he still has some shred of utility. The Duke demands an audience with Leo, ordering Arthur to bring his classmate. Now, watch closely as we learn that most undead constructs are seen as pathetic failures. But this creature is different, a twisted fusion of forbidden sorcery, alchemy, and various living beasts. Deep in the capital's shadow market, Leo searches specifically to buy this rare, monstrous construct. He is looking for any powerful servant monster that can hold its own in a fight. Using his prophetic sight to find a match, he inspects a bald, unimpressive-looking construct, but stops when he notices a specific golem named Silas, who has no idea who Leo is. Leo remembers that Silas eventually becomes the king of the undead, recognizing him instantly by his shining scalp. Silas claims he is an elite servant, and though his powers haven't awakened, Leo is impressed because this creature can craft others. He asks for a blank vessel. Silas asks how many vessels Leo requires, and upon hearing he only needs one. The golem leads him deeper into the workshop. Leo uses his hidden knowledge to pick the perfect one, then gives Silas precise instructions on how to finish the transformation. Silas says it costs 180 million. Leo must return tomorrow to collect it. Silas looks at Leo's crest, shocked that such a young noble has achieved so much already. The next day, Leo returns. The golem master is stunned that Leo knew exactly how to forge a perfect warrior. Leo claims it was luck, but his secret vision and ancient knowledge were the true keys. Leo offers to invest 35 billion gold. Silas is stunned, as that is a truly massive amount of coin. But Leo only wants 30% of the shop's ownership. They go to see the new construct, and she is stunning. Leo plans to transfer his familiar, Halen, into this body. Checking her stats, he realizes her unique specialty is childcare. He knows this will help raise his baby dragon. You and I both know that is a genius move, right? He orders Halen to merge with the body. Her physical form is scanned as the synchronization begins immediately. Leo reveals the heart of an ancient giant. Silas's pulse quickens, realizing just how legendary this ingredient truly is. Leo presses the heart into the vessel's chest. It glows brightly as she awakens and comes to life. Silas cannot believe that Leo fused a legendary artifact so effortlessly with a mere golem's shell. And he decides to stay close to Leo to learn. Leo and Halen depart, deciding to act as parents for the dragon, White. They run into Arthur, who wants to discuss the recent attack on the capital. Leo refuses to talk, claiming he only found out about the danger by pure accident right before it struck. But Arthur persists, demanding to know how he could have possibly known. Leo credits his underground informants, but Arthur doesn't believe it since the major nightly orders heard absolutely nothing. Leo asks if he is sure the orders didn't lie. Arthur is stunned, and Leo smirks while walking past. Arthur grabs his arm, and Leo is visibly annoyed. Arthur sighs and drops the act, revealing that his father, the Duke, wishes to have an audience with Leo. Leo is stunned. He has no idea why the Duke of Shadows would ever want to meet a student like him. Arthur asks if he is ready. "Trust me, this will be intense." "All right, you and I are diving into a moment where our hero, Arthur, barely holds it together. With a shaky voice, he tells the boy that he is no child of darkness. The young lord takes it with a cold, stoic stare. Later, back in his private chambers, Arthur is absolutely panicking. He is terrified of meeting that monster so early in the game. Now, he has to find a way to convince the Duke not to execute him immediately. The scene shifts to Roland, finally waking up after that brutal sonic scream. He is fuming, wondering who would dare bring a dragon blood to the Royal Academy. He remembers someone stopping the dragon's stimulant in its tracks. It had to be Arthur, and now Roland has a target. He makes it his life mission to end the boy. Meanwhile, Arthur hits the training grounds, desperate to prepare for his meeting with the Duke. He pulls out 3 runic artifacts, skills for short-range blinking, gravity control, and resisting the very flow of time itself. He merges them. This pushes his space magic to double S rank, though the strain makes him look like someone consumed by void energy. He thinks he is finally fast enough to outrun the Duke if things go south during their meeting. Next, he decides on some brutal training for his subordinates, Halen and White. He is going to lob explosive scrolls at them to harden their magical defenses. He plans to record the chaos too. Across the grounds, Lady Alara is stalking Julian. He is clearly annoyed, but she just blushes, begging him for a private sparring session. Julian has no idea how Arthur managed to tame such a difficult noble girl so effortlessly. It is honestly quite impressive. Suddenly, a massive tremor ripples through the training arena. Once the shaking stops, the two of them decide to go in and investigate. Now pay attention here, because Julian's face turns pale as the shadow of a colossal dragon looms over them. Alara collapses in fear, but Arthur just greets them casually. He acts like it is nothing at all. He explains he is just practicing how to contain his massive pools of magic. Julian is stunned by this insane display of magic control. Arthur almost leveled the entire building just to show off his strength. Arthur introduces Halen as his ethereal assistant, and of course, his young dragon protege, the one they call White. But then he turns into a cold, arrogant noble, telling Alara she is being incredibly rude as he walks right past her. A few days pass, and it is finally the weekend of the grand auction. Arthur meets with young Balthazar, who tells him that the Great Duke is already waiting inside the auction hall. Arthur is sweating as he approaches the Duke, but then he spots a man who spent 20 years in the Darklands, a scarred veteran with dual-colored hair. Standing next to him is the Duke himself. It is clear these two powerful men are not exactly on friendly terms today. Arthur's heart is pounding against his ribs. The Duke introduces himself, and Arthur realizes his power is so high it is impossible to even measure. The current item on stage is a high-tier ghoul named Saren. The Duke turns to Arthur and asks for his professional opinion on the undead creature. Arthur knows he is being tested and says the ghoul is high quality. The Duke suggests a deal, which shocks the guards, but Arthur dismisses them like a true stone-cold noble. The Duke laughs. Arthur agrees to a deal, but first, he insists the Duke see his own item for the auction. He promises the man he will love it. I know what you are thinking. Is he crazy? The Duke asks what happens if he hates it, making Arthur gulp in pure, unadulterated terror. The attendants bring out the next item, a legendary purification potion. The crowd immediately loses their minds, and the bidding starts at a fever pitch. Even the scarred veteran is shocked. Arthur knows why. The man's lifespan has been drained by dark magic, and this potion is his only hope. Arthur decides to be bold. He points out that his potion is worth far more than the Duke's little ghoul. But the Duke is unfazed. He asks if Arthur can craft more. Arthur confidently claims that with the right materials, he can create anything. Bidding quickly hits 4 trillion gold. The Duke calls Arthur a very tempting child. Hold on, that is definitely creepy. Hearing this absolutely terrifies Arthur. Terrified, Arthur asks why the Duke is in such a rush. He wonders if it has anything to do with Lord Eldon, the notorious guild leader. Arthur proposes a new deal. He will reveal Lord Eldon's location, but in exchange, the Duke must release the young lord from his family duties. Balthazar is stunned. Arthur explains that he doesn't want the boy forced to live the brutal life of a dark noble against his own will. The Duke argues that the boy is still young, and if he leaves now, he will be surrounded by enemies. Arthur explains that he trusts the boy's inner strength. So, the Duke turns to his son and asks if this freedom is truly what he desires most in this world. Terrified, the young lord admits that yes, he does. The Duke actually agrees, and the boy turns away to hide his tears. Arthur then points toward the horizon just as a massive explosion rocks the entire auction house. A hooded group of assassins bursts into the room. Their leader snatches the legendary potion and immediately makes a break for the exit. Arthur actually leaked the information himself. He wanted to bait these criminals out into the open for this exact moment. As Arthur makes his move to leave, the Duke begins to release a terrifying aura that floods the room. He knows this hall is about to become a war zone. He grabs the young lord and uses his teleportation magic to escape before the building collapses. Trust me, you and I are about to see a bloodbath. The Duke will win, but the thief is already getting away with the prize. Alastair asks Lord Harrington for help, explaining how he knows where the stolen treasures are being moved. All right, you and I are about to see Baron Holland getting caught, red-handed with his magical stash. But just as they prepare to vanish with the loot, a familiar explosive device rolls toward them. The blast erupts, but Holland survives behind a barrier while his men are shredded. Suddenly, Alastair crashes down from above, and the Baron simply cannot believe his eyes. He hits that perfect hero landing, and Holland's dragon-sized trauma makes him start shaking and twitching immediately. The spirit lets out a piercing shriek that knocks Holland out colder than a heavyweight championship punch. Alastair feels lucky their smuggler was that coward Holland. Meanwhile, Sir Harold stands by on the side, realizing he is nothing more than an observer. Later in his room, Alastair is thrilled with the massive reputation and gold he earned, thanks to that successful royal auction. Watch this, he just earned a legendary alchemy skill. Meeting Duke Godwin was nerve-wracking, but it paid off. That night, Alastair heads to the rooftops to find Seraphina, who is lurking in the shadows. Alastair instantly notices the assassin is wearing makeup for the very first time. If he wasn't such an awkward loser with women, he might actually get lucky tonight. He hands over a small box containing magical earrings he forged himself. She accepts the gift and puts them on, blushing as she insists they have a mission to get to. Alastair is glad she is softening up, though he only accepted this assassination mission because the target is a notorious illegal arms dealer named Mordred Thorne. This villain also hoards rare artifacts. Seraphina thanks him for the gift as they finalize their deadly mission together. They only need to kill this one man and ignore the thugs to walk away with 100 billion gold and all the loot they can carry. She tells Alastair not to slow her down, and a few moments of blood splattering later, they are finished. The job is done. Alastair even manages to find the specific power core he's been looking for. Taking a life seems to thrill Seraphina, and Alastair can't help but feel a strange attraction to her dark intensity. The next day, he sits in the dining hall checking the spoils he looted. He opens a cube and discovers a double S rank attention-seeking skill. You and I both know that's huge, but Alastair's actually annoyed it depends on fame. He absorbs the power regardless, and his base stats skyrocket because every noble in the kingdom already has their eyes on him. This is a win. Lady Alara apologizes for her recent violent spree when they were last together. Alastair tells her there is nothing to apologize for and tells her to rely on him if she ever loses control again. She asks if he truly means it. He explains her split personalities are actually a powerful advantage rather than a curse. He explains exactly how her skill works, leaving her confused about how he knows all this. He says he knew someone similar before, secretly thinking of her from the ancient game he once played. Back in his room, our hero feels nostalgic for his past life. A magical pulse wakes him, signaling that a gate in Ironreach has finally opened. He contacts Lady Genevieve, yelling at her for heading toward the dangerous northern frontier gates alone. She starts to apologize, but before she can give her location, the magical connection suddenly snaps. She mentioned monsters being everywhere before the line cut, giving Alistair a quest to save Genevieve. We now see her standing before the demon gates. These demon gates used to link the abyss to the mortal realm, but they haven't appeared in ages. Her guards beg her to flee, explaining they've already summoned the sentinels and other night orders for help. But they all freeze when a massive purple barrier traps them, summoned by a terrifying undead lick. The army of high-rank undead march forward, but Genevieve refuses to run, drawing her blade as the skeletal legion closes in. Alistair informs Lord Sterling of the disaster and demands to lead a squad of students to the frontier to aid in the fight against the undead. The Lord is. He doubts they can win, but Alistair is confident they can stall until the Jasper Sentinels arrive. Alistair realizes he must combine his mana buffer and shield generator now, or they might not survive the coming night. The students gather for the teleportation. He tells them to hope for light stomachs before they vanish into thin air. The scene shifts to the front lines, where the undead legion is swarming Lady Genevieve. She strikes the earth, unleashing a frost spell that freezes the rotting monsters solid in their tracks. This gives her guard an opening to strike. They keep fighting, but Genevieve is reaching her physical limit. She orders Captain Kalen to retreat immediately, but he refuses to leave his lady behind to face death alone. Just as hope fades, Alistair's laughter booms from the sky. "Trust me, you and I are about to see these students rain hell from above." "All right, you and I are about to watch Sir Gilbert rain down icy death on these undead monsters." Lady Gillian notices a strange tactical belt on his waist and realizes Arthur must have forged it. While she stands there in shock, the knights in training are actually winning. Arthur is scrying the battle for the kingdom because his attention-seeker skill fuels his magic. His mana surges to S rank. He calls down the fury of the heavens, a massive beam of holy light that slams down and turns the undead army into ash. Gillian is absolutely stunned. Seeing the entire army of rot vanish in seconds leaves her speechless. Honestly, she is just there for the reaction shots. She realizes Arthur cast that divine spell to heal allies while shredding the enemies. Arthur gets the notification that his quest to rescue Gillian is complete, racking up enough achievements to make a king jealous. In this realm, achievements boost your status, and even though he is still low level, Arthur can feel his power rising. He orders the students to tend to the wounded and the survivors. Master Hindley tries to act tough, saying he will only help if Arthur begs him. Arthur honestly just wants to finish him right here. Now it is time to break the Licks barrier with help from Sir John, Baron Boren, and Gillian. Hindley still whines, arguing an archlick is too dangerous, and they should wait for the royal guards. Now pay attention. Arthur wants this kill now, because it grants a legendary status achievement. He tells them they are hunting the Lick, and they all freeze in fear. Arthur asks Gilbert if he is really going to back down now. The guy finally steps up. It is time for the hunt. The teachers rush to the gate, but stop when they see the students clashing with the Lick. Duchess Josephine tells them to wait. The Lick strikes at Hindley. Bone spikes erupt from the ground, but he dodges just in time thanks to Arthur. Josephine is amazed by Arthur's leadership. He dodges the spikes easily, thrilled to face a monster that usually only haunts the Shadow Realm. Arthur is using his magic to predict exactly where the next spikes will burst out. The Lick switches tactics, so Arthur commands Blanche to unleash her own counterattack. As magical projectiles fly toward them, Blanche stands ready to block and deflect every single one. Arthur yells for the students to give it their all. They manage to pierce the Lick's chest, making it shriek in pain and summon another wave of undead. But these zombies are about to get a taste of some old-school discipline. Sir John literally punches a sword out of the air. While they handle the mobs, the Lick prepares his ultimate spell, the Rainbow Curse. It packs 7 different curses, and every single one is lethal. Arthur knows this is the final phase. He decides to take the entire attack alone so the other students are not wiped out. I know what you're thinking. Is he really going to survive this? He activates his space control to face it alone. John asks Helen and Blanche about the danger. Helen says the odds of surviving all 7 curses are less than 1%. The students are panicking, but the girls are not worried. Blanche says there is no need to fret because her father is just naturally lucky, which makes 0 sense to the boys. Just then, Arthur's bargain bin barrier cracks and he stumbles out. The students rush to help, but his confident smirk stops them in their tracks. The next morning, Arthur feels good about the battle. He enters a meeting where Lord Hanbury and Duke William are waiting. Even the Master of the Shadows, Lady Sophia, has arrived. These are the 3 strongest people in the kingdom. Arthur shows them his magic purification potion, and while Sophia offers a fortune for it, Arthur has a very different plan. If they provide the rare materials, he will keep producing these potions for their guilds. In return, he demands ownership of the Shadow Realm's 31st district to build a massive warp gate. They are floored. Building a warp gate in that cursed land is considered a mission impossible. Sophia asks if he knows a devil has awakened there. She thinks that is why he wants the land. Arthur says he just wants to open a shop there. After some tense back and forth, they finally strike a deal. Days pass and the ranking tests begin. Arthur knows another attack is coming, but he is more prepared than ever before. A notification pops up. The second main quest has started, the Devil's Invasion of the Academy. Arthur worries about his friends and learns that Charlie and Sarah are trapped in the library, right in the line of fire. He tells Boren to move the students east while he rushes to save his friends. Trust me, it's about to get wild. Stick with me because our hero is panicking. This time, someone might actually die. As magic turrets blast the monsters swarming from the demon gate, Leo rushes toward the library. It is smothered in dark magic that would kill anyone instantly, but luckily, our brave hero has the resistance needed to survive it. He finds Lady Charlotte unconscious and sees her trembling as he draws near. He forces a healing potion down her throat, saving her life. She wakes just enough to warn him that Sienna is at the annex, being swarmed by monsters like a maiden in distress. Racing to the annex, Leo realizes the terrifying master of the demon gate might finally emerge. It is Lilith, the devil's bride. If she enters their world, his entire quest will end in total failure. Watch closely, she is trapped, her body being stolen to host Lilith herself. Leo is terrified because stopping Lilith means doing something he simply cannot do. Instead, he activates his regression magic, summoning 2 massive magic circles that glow with ancient power. He keeps channeling the spell, but the girl's eyes snap open, glowing a deep crimson. Leo falls to his knees as she approaches, asking him who he is in a chilling, demonic voice. He declares himself the legendary Dragon Slayer, shocking the demon while he keeps listing his epic titles one by one. He grabs her shoulder, looks the devil in the eyes, and vows that he will destroy her. Sienna's body begins to burn with dark energy. The devil forced her to attack, but Leo stops it with pure, raw aura. He grabs her hand with a smile. Suddenly, she is back, crying and leaping into his arms. Leo earns a massive pile of legendary achievements, but he feels like he might collapse from exhaustion. Leo collapses with Sienna on top of him, a view many of us would envy. Later, he recovers and checks his quest status. It is nearly perfect, but he worries how that dark demonization affected Sienna mentally. Lady Bianca and Sir Halden arrive, and she hugs him while crying from pure relief. Now you and I see him meet Duchess Isabella, who thanks him. But check out Sienna, she leveled up into a dark sorceress. After checking her status, Leo realizes she is still not entirely safe from Lilith's influence. When she wakes, It seems the demon transformation even improved her looks. She cries, asking what will happen now, but he calms her, promising he will always protect her. He tells her mother that he will start divine hunting immediately to prevent Lilith from ever fully awakening. Days pass with Leo visiting his new dark sorceress every single day. She asks why he didn't just kill her back then, since it was the easier path. Leo whispers that he didn't want to lose his friend, but the friend zone definitely wasn't her goal. She tells Leo she wants to train and test these newfound demonic powers. She summons a massive spell. Leo explains that Lilith's power in her body actually allows her to create mana organs. She asks him to spar. During the fight, she wonders if he was hurt after saving her from the devil. Once he confirms it, she asks if he is still in pain, but he is fine now. He's happy she's glad. Later, he meets with Archmage Alaric to discuss the finished gate, while Lord Eris explains that the gate is performing far better than they imagined. Leo notes that the gate can be used every 3 days. They plan to auction off its use on the days they don't need it. Their meeting is cut short by a drone alert. Leo apologizes, but asks them to follow him immediately. The scene shifts to Sienna's room. Count Valerius finds her there, and she is in deep trouble with the mansion unguarded. He claims he wants her mana organ. Wait, is that the term now? He says he's actually not interested in women at all, which just makes her feel disgusted. Mentioning Leo makes the Count giggle like a mad jester, saying he will wait for the boy to ripen before playing with him. Sienna calls him absolutely insane, but he's done talking and appears before her in the blink of an eye. He reaches for her, but Leo's protective instinct makes him teleport between them in an instant. Valerius is thrilled to see him, but after spotting the backup in Sienna's angry mother, he teleports away fast. Leo says he's heading to the Shadow Realm, and Sienna insists on coming along with him. Usually, he would refuse, but since she has Lady Lilith's powers now, he agrees to take her. We see men talking about a student buying the 31st district. Suddenly, evil beasts attack, and Leo arrives to save the day. He brought his allies along, and spots a new reincarnation of Lady Lilith in a different body. And trust me, you and I will watch to see if he can stop this new Lilith alone before Sienna dies. All right, you and I are about to witness one of the most insane power-ups in fantasy history. Alaric channels his fame-seeker trait, drawing strength from the crowd until his renown eclipses even the greatest legendary knights. His aura surges, finally giving him a fighting chance against Lilith, who is shocked he can actually withstand her dark sorcery. Alaric unleashes a spell, but she blurs past it, launching a counterattack that our hero barely manages to parry away. He finally lands a devastating strike, causing her blood to erupt in a gruesome spray. Amidst the carnage, he spots a lingering fragment of Lilith's soul. He absorbs the fragment instantly, only to realize he has actually been reborn into an earlier era of this realm's history. Once the soul is fully consumed, a legendary achievement triggers, and Alaric collapses onto the cold earth from pure exhaustion. We cut to Seraphina in a tavern within the 31st parish, where local thugs are mocking her cursed demonic heritage. Watch closely, because these thugs are about to push things way too far as they corner the poor girl. The elderly innkeeper interrupts, warning them that all damages must be paid in gold, and that only honorable brawls are permitted. Alaric finally steps in, demanding a duel. The mercenaries aren't thrilled to see him back, but they can't refuse the challenge. Seconds later, the thug is kissing the floor like a desperate man. Baron Cedric, the elite master of the parish and chief of security, declares Alaric the undisputed winner. The commander of the Iron Guard introduces himself as Alistair and offers a stiff apology for his men's disgraceful behavior. Alistair leads the Black Oak Company, and Alaric bluntly informs him that they are heading straight for the Queen of Shadow's lair. The commander refuses to follow Alaric there. Alaric notes that Alistair barely survived Lord Valerius before, and is likely terrified of facing that monster again. The captain fumes because his own daughter was lost in the previous raid, but Alaric shocks him by claiming she can still be saved. He grows even more furious since 10 years have passed since her death, but Alaric insists a path to salvation still exists. Alastair settles down as Alaric explains the ritual. Finally, he agrees that he and his blades will follow Alaric into the abyss. But if Alaric is lying, he is a dead man. Later, Alaric meets Lady Genevieve, who confirms that the requested supplies have reached the Shadowlands. Alaric reveals a hidden vein where they can harvest Shadow Steel, an incredibly rare and priceless mystic ore. First, they strike a bargain with the local beasts and secure the loyalty of the Black Oak mercenaries. Two hooded figures watch the parish from the shadows, and one decides to test the new lord by summoning a horrific storm called the Blight Maelstrom. Halen warns that the winds will rot the very souls of the people, demanding an evacuation, but Seraphina refuses to run. You and I know she is brave, but facing this corruption alone, this is absolute suicide. Alaric receives a desperate quest to stop the storm or face certain death. He suspects Lord Valerius has arrived, as only his dark bloodline could summon such a foul tempest. Seraphina vows to hold back the tornado until Alaric returns. As the vortex slams into her, she is forced to her knees, but somehow her iron will keep her standing. The young boy behind the storm is Julian, the Beast Master. He is absolutely terrified when he sees Alaric clinging to the edge of his moving sky fortress. Alaric asks the boy if he summoned the blight. The kid denies it, but Alaric can see the lie in his eyes. Despite his godlike power, he is just a child. Alaric uses simple reverse psychology to trick the boy into confessing his guilt. Alaric mentions his legendary allies, and the little brat is shocked that our hero knows every single one of them. Alaric is furious that the boy delayed the mining operation, and as a fitting punishment, he has a new job for him. He orders the boy to start mining the ore himself. Alaric also demands the hellstone used to summon the storm, and the kid quickly obeys. As Alaric departs, he threatens to execute them all if they ever dare to set foot in his territory again. Back with Seraphina, she is nearing her end. Her final breath is reserved for a confession of love for Alaric. Suddenly, he appears, announcing they are moving the storm to the Demon Queen's lair to use it as a weapon to wipe out the Legion easily. Back at the tavern, the patrons prepare to flee. Halen announces that Alaric has tamed the storm and is redirecting it. He orders the mercenaries to move out and support the Lord. During the march, Alaric explains the vortex will kill the minions, but he will have to face the Demon Queen in single combat. But sensing the massive aura ahead, it is clear this will be no easy victory for our heroes. Suddenly, a blinding flash erupts, and a bolt of light pierces Alaric's heart, leaving him dead on the cold, hard ground. I know what you're thinking, but watch as Seraphina somehow manages to dodge the next lethal strike. The Demon Queen appears. Seeing Alaric fall, Seraphina goes berserk, her aura exploding as she finally masters Lilith's dark power to avenge the man she loves. The Queen is absolutely terrified. All right, you and I are jumping into the chaos as Silas slams this demon noble down. Alessandra is shaking, nearly in tears. Silas takes total control of the Demon Queen's power and forces Alessandra to bow. She obeys, and with one swift motion, Silas takes her head. The mercenaries arrive to find Alastair looking dead, making Bianca burst into tears. Silas returns to them, but a mysterious voice suddenly claims it is time to fulfill their dark contract. She watches as a corrupt madness absorbs every demon, merging them into a single entity known as Belladonna, the demon of greed. Even the commander's daughter is about to be taken, but with a simple smile, the demon freezes the mercenaries right in their tracks. Silas and Bianca charge forward, both unleashing their strongest attacks. But the villain's aura is just on another level, deflecting them without moving an inch. Just then, Alastair wakes up, refusing to die so easily. Talk about some massive plot armor here, a total miracle from the author. Alastair draws his blade to face Duke Balthazar. Despite the warnings that he is outmatched, he is confident. He calls the demon by his true name, Samuel. Samuel is stunned, but Alastair declares himself the apostle of Saint Raphael, before charging into the fray. Let's pause. We need to see how Alistair actually survived getting his heart pierced. A notification reveals he was summoned by a divine being. Alistair realizes he maxed out his luck stat specifically for this one encounter. He addresses this being by her legendary titles, the one who broke the goddess of luck herself, the one who shattered the sword of victory and sees the darkness hidden behind every truth. The deity is impressed. Alistair knows his luck triggered a hidden quest that only activates when you are on the brink of death. They enter a high-stakes gamble, and against all odds, Alistair actually wins. This completes the quest, allowing him to pick a legendary achievement, but he claims his prize is not on the list. He points out that the deity herself once chose an unlisted reward after defeating the luck goddess. This nearly gets him killed, as there is no way a mortal should know that secret history. Trembling, Alistair bluffs that Lady 𝒂𝒚 needs to give him any achievement he requires, otherwise the goddess of time will be absolutely pissed at her. He is totally faking it, but he knows enough intimate details about both goddesses to make it believable. 𝒂𝒚 falls for the bluff. Alistair demands Raphael's power and thanks her with a cocky, arrogant smirk. She calls him a brat but finds him entertaining. Now, we are finally back in the heat of the present. Balthazar refuses to believe Alistair is a holy apostle, but he's proven wrong when Alistair slices him up like a Sunday roast. Slaying the Duke earns him a mythical achievement. He lands and finds the mercenary boss about to kill his own daughter to end her pain. Alistair stops him, promising he can save her. He heads off to destroy the nest and absorb all the magic within. This process creates a legendary gemstone similar to his others, which is exactly what he needs to save Seraphina, the commander's daughter. Once he's done, Baron Gilbert announces they can finally start mining the abyssal crystals, which is music to Alistair's ears. Pay attention here, because Alistair is about to open the gates of the afterlife itself to save the young girl's life. In this world, souls are reborn in new lives, but their original bodies remain trapped in the spirit realm. Alistair activates the stone, piercing the heavens and allowing the souls to flood back into the world of the living. He warns his allies to prepare themselves, because those souls are coming for them. Julian is watching when Quentin arrives, insisting they join the fight. Alistair appears, terrifying Julian, who thinks he is the doppelganger king. Alistair commands the boy to handle the souls, but Quentin finds his kingly persona a bit too suspicious. He swings a massive hammer at Alistair, but the hero ducks just in time, leaving Quentin in shock. Alistair is secretly terrified, knowing he only survived because he happened to bend down to grab some crystal ore. Quentin apologizes, and Alistair bluffs his way through it again. Quentin bows in respect, while Alistair's heart is beating out of his chest. A bit later, Alistair visits Master Gwydion, the guardian of the Celestia Peak's Sky Island. He demands to use the abyssal crystals as magical artillery and wants to organize the souls from the spirit realm immediately. The old man stays silent, then sees right through the act, calling out Alistair for not being the doppelganger king. This sends a chill down Alistair's spine. Back at the gate, Cedric is already exhausted from holding back the tide of souls. Purple laser hits the sky. Watch what happens next. All right, you and I are watching souls get tossed like trash as Leo signals for them to enter the shadow realm. Back to Lord Geoffrey and Leo, where the old man demands the truth. Leo claims he is from the future, but the veteran knight does not believe a word. Leo calls the man his grandfather, using his full noble name and promising that if that is not enough to prove his bloodline, he will show him the truth, asking the old man to follow. Geoffrey warns Leo to stop pouring dark crystals into the enchanted cannons before they break. But seeing the war machine running perfectly, finally, makes the old man realize Leo truly is from the future. We move back to Sion and his squad as they step into the chilling realm of the afterlife. A system notification lets them know that the gods of death are already watching their every move. Leo is shocked that even Helen has awakened within this dark realm. This changes everything, and they realize they can never let this portal close. Back in the capital, demons are swarming from every side, while the young knights defend the city with all their might. Justin knows they are gaining power quickly through this battle. But they are still not even close to stopping the tide of undead. He worries for Cyan, but a massive explosion makes him realize his own life is in danger. Even Leo feels the shockwave from the other side, so he decides to head back and check the situation. The blast knocks out most of the students, just as a terrifying new demonic incarnation appears from the smoke. She calls Julian strong, and seeing her face, Harold screams for Julian to run before she sends the boy flying with a near-fatal blow. Now watch closely, because Julian is about to do the one thing he was told not to. He tries to strike back, but his body is completely frozen, and the demonic mistress giggles that his time is finally up. Harold realizes this incarnation is a manifestation of Julian's forgotten memories, though he never expected his past to take the form of a demon. We jump back 10 years to when Harold was on an apprenticeship mission with his guild to hunt down the monster. This was when he first met Julian, a terrified young boy who hushed the night with a calm voice, whispering that a demon was already hiding right there. And in that moment, Harold saw the reflection of pure evil hiding in the boy's eyes. He turns to find the monster, but Julian hushes him again, warning that the demon is already watching them both. The guild took the boy in, discovering that the demon they were hunting had actually given birth to Julian in her human form. Can you believe it? Julian is facing his literal mother. Leo suddenly barges in to save him, identifying the demon as Modius. Just as he goes for the kill, Julian stops him, meaning his memories have returned. But as Leo turns, Modius plunges her hand deep into his chest, and Julian blames himself for the bloody consequence. Leo reassures him he is fine, even apologizing to Julian for the chaos that has occurred. But he must slay the demons as the apostle of Raphael, which he does. The dark energy leaves the girl as she falls unconscious. Back in the realm of the afterlife, Sonia is still hiding from the horrors within. While the palace guards fight off the devils, they rush out of the shadow realm with Helen charging right after them. As they retreat, a massive blast echoes in the distance, tearing the demon's arm clean off in a spray of darkness. Helen grabs a trophy of its flesh while Cyan catches her before she falls. The mission is a success. They secured a piece of the demon Balro. Leo returns to the tavern later to heal Serrano. A few days pass, the undead are finally defeated, and the gate is sealed for good. Leo's master tells him to return to the academy, even though he has clearly already outgrown it. They will now allow people of any age or power to join the academy, and Leo is thrilled by the news. Plus, with graduation being held early, many of the most powerful heroes in the land will be gathered in one single place. The next morning, Julian meets with Leo to discuss the insane events that went down the day before. He notices that even White will be joining the school now, that the old age restrictions have been tossed out. Leo pats her head, calling her the star student, before a call from Gwendolyn warns him that a massive, dark object has erupted from the deep abyss nest. He orders her to keep everyone away from the site. But she cannot help but feel amazed by the beautiful black tower, while Justin watches with a heart full of jealous ambition. He spots shadows dashing around the academy and uses his new ghost bind skill to stop them, but the dark figures continue to move. Suddenly, one shadow strikes him from behind in a brutal cliffhanger. We return to Leo, who is currently training his legendary sword skills against high-level magic. He is actually able to slice through raw mana, but another moving shadow catches his eye. He uses his mana domination to track the intruder. And that's where we leave it. Trust me, you and I need to see what comes next. He's nearly gutted on the spot. These lethal strikes keep coming out of nowhere, and he can't even spot the killer. All right, stick with me because Leo jumps in just in time, shredding the attacker like a master composer at work. The assassin hits the dirt, and Leo triggers a new emergency quest. Every student at the academy is under threat until these ranking exams finally finish. Arthur collapses, bleeding out so fast it looks like he won't make it another minute. Leo rushes him to the healers and blasts out a warning to the other students. Watch your backs for ambushes. Back at that massive, mysterious artifact, Sophia and Baron Alaric are debating exactly what they should do with the thing. Lady Seraphina, looking stunning as always, asks about Jillian, and Sophia explains she's currently busy handling rival groups like the Merchant Guild. Sophia is hyped just looking at the artifact, but its sheer, massive scale is starting to seriously creep Seraphina out. We cut back to Leo, who tracks the dead killer's trail all the way back to the master behind the curtain. A woman calls the fallen assassin a fool for losing to a mere student. Leo recognizes her instantly as Selena, a legendary mercenary. Leo blurs, appearing right behind Selena. She's absolutely terrified. No one should be able to move that fast. Now watch this. She tries a fake name, but Leo calls her bluff, and when she gets aggressive, he shuts her down, Academy style. Leo glances at the body for a split second, and she takes the bait, dropping a flash spell that blinds him just long enough to escape. Honestly, Leo let her run on purpose. He knew if she spilled any secrets about her mission, her bosses would have her erased immediately. The scene shifts to Charles and Anya entering the magical simulation chamber, where their next exam is about to go down. They watch a student named Cedric clashing with Damien in a high-stakes duel to see who claims the higher rank. Not wanting to be left behind, both Charles and Anne decide to jump into the duels themselves. Anne is totally spent. She fought her way into the top 100 out of 6,000 students, but this next opponent, the Slayer, is a monster. This guy goes by Tristan, and word is he actually hails from the dangerous Shadow Wilds. Suddenly, the crowd erupts. Leo just cleared 7 duels in seconds. Amelia actually forfeits her own match just to watch him, while Tristan looks on, intrigued. Leo breezes through 2 more rounds. Easy work. But seeing his next opponent is Julian actually makes him feel a bit uneasy. Pay attention here. Things just took a dark turn. A student is dead, the exits are locked, and Leo just got a quest to hunt down every single terrorist disguised as a student. Julian steps up. He tells Leo these killers smuggled in cursed blades that bypass the simulation's safety rules, meaning if you die here, you die for real. Leo screams for everyone to find cover and hide until they can find a way to break out of this magical trap. A terrifying guy who looks like he walked out of a nightmare approaches Leo, and for the first time, our hero actually looks nervous. The creep challenges him to a duel, but Leo has a better plan. He orders Helena to hijack the system and start a live broadcast. Leo purposely let Selena escape earlier so Helena could track her to their secret base. Now, they've hijacked the simulation and stripped away the safety protections from the terrorists themselves. This leaves those cowards absolutely terrified. Helena signals the exit is almost ready, but suddenly, a colossal shadow looms over Leo, a giant titan that freezes the entire battlefield in pure fear. Leo barks orders for everyone to run. Even Julian is terrified, watching Leo prepare to face this massive, Spartan-like titan all by himself. Leo promises Julian he'll be fine, so the guy finally listens and hauls it out of there before things get even worse. Leo realizes these enemies have summoned a magical replica of Ares, the god of war, right into the middle of this simulation. It doesn't have its true divine strength, but taking down a god and a bunch of terrorists at once is going to be a pain. The lead terrorist mocks Leo, claiming their hack doesn't matter, right before he gets crushed like a bug under the god of war's massive blade. The only thing on Leo's mind is making sure Helena is recording everything. Then, he finally unsheathes his legendary heavenly sword. Ares swings, and their clash is absolutely earth-shattering. In an instant, the god crumbles, falling apart faster than a nervous guy on his very first date. The duel exam is officially canceled, and now the students are forced to battle against those nasty twin-headed trolls all over again. A student named White finishes with 27,000 points, landing in second place. Everyone is finally realizing that while they're crawling in the dirt, Leo is reaching godlike status. Leo emerges with a staggering score of 35,000, easily taking the top spot. By now, the students are just used to his dominance. However, some bizarre ranking technicality keeps Leo stuck in the lower tiers despite his power. Leo and Sophia travel to the furthest edge of the southern reach. Leo is determined to reach the mysterious island on the far horizon. They take to the skies, but a massive S-rank kraken rises from the depths, looking like it stepped out of a nightmare. Or maybe not. Sophia loses her mind because the sea spray ruined her makeup, and she shreds that kraken into absolute fish food. Even Leo is stunned by her. You and I just saw a goddess. They reach the island and find two insanely powerful blades. Arthur explains how these twin blades were once wielded by the celestial Lord Lucille and his fallen shadow, Lucifer. Trust me, you and I are about to witness a test of soul as Lucifer's phantom challenges them to draw. Arthur reaches for the holy blade, while Silas takes the demonic one. The explosion nearly kills them, leaving Arthur barely standing. Silas is staggering too, and even the shadow of Lucifer has to praise their incredible endurance. Lucifer warns that the world's end is coming and demands they strike. They swing together, slaying the entity and reaping massive rewards. Back at St. Jude's Academy, Arthur checks on Julian, who is still recovering from that brutal stabbing incident. Lady Beatrice approaches them, but Arthur acts like a cold, arrogant lord, being completely dismissive and harsh toward her. She is holding back a literal waterfall of tears while begging Arthur to come meet her powerful father. Her father, Lord Alistair, wants to challenge Baron Sterling, but needs Arthur first. He wields a staff that can summon the Leviathan. Pay attention here. Arthur needs to intervene, but a massive bolt of lightning crashes down before he can even move. A hidden quest to conquer the great Leviathan appears, and Arthur realizes this is a high-level danger for everyone. He grabs Beatrice and tells her they must flee. He teleports them to the harbor where Alistair looks impossibly young and fit. He asks if Arthur is his daughter's new suitor, but Arthur warns him the Leviathan has awakened because of his weapon. Alistair cannot understand why the ancient dragon is rising now, after he has held the staff for so many years. Arthur explains that it is not just the dragon. Many other ancient divinities are waking up across the entire kingdom. First, he needs to handle the beast and Alistair's staff. The Lord hands it over, and Arthur promises to keep them safe. This triggers the fourth main quest, where Arthur must stop these divinities to prevent a total, world-ending war. The scene shifts to the 31st Duchy of the Shadow Realm, where Cecily and Seraphina see a massive shape in the fog. Arthur stands before the great Leviathan trying to negotiate, but his entire body freezes from the beast's overwhelming divine pressure. Arthur whispers his vow to save humanity and asks for its power. Surprisingly, the great dragon actually accepts his request. Arthur, you and I saw this coming. He hands over the staff, and the dragon vanishes as the Great Revolution officially begins. Elsewhere, she senses the presence of the Dark Matriarch, who is moving toward their position with terrifying speed. Silas is clearly worried about the threat, but Arthur knows that being afraid will not stop her. He is already channeling a spell to summon the Leviathan, turning the staff into a sword as long as Arthur spreads his fame. So, Arthur uses drones to broadcast his praises of the dragon to the world. The beast grows stronger from the massive view count. If views equaled power in real life, the biggest influencers would rule the galaxy. The dragon blasts the matriarch, but she blocks it. The beast follows up by sending even more devastating energy strikes directly toward her. Arthur and Silas use the opening to flank her, and Silas lands a brutal piercing blow right through her stomach. She tries to raise a barrier, but Arthur cleaves it in half. At this rate, she will be more holes than human. She dies in absolute agony, which grants Arthur pages of new and legendary achievements for his collection. The system chimes in to let him know that he has officially completed the fourth main quest of his journey. It also raises the world difficulty, which Arthur hates. Meanwhile, Julian meets the Iron Frost King in a strange, dark limbo. Sir Gareth is busy fighting a monstrous, mutated reindeer known as the Iron Frost Beast on total steroids. The creature stops its attack mid-swing because Arthur has actually frozen the monster in both time and space. The two of them step away, leaving the monster to punch the empty air like a complete and total idiot. Arthur opens a portal for Julian, and the sheer weight of his new aura sends the monster into a state of shock. Arthur tells Julian not to kill the beast, but to tame it. Julian releases a light that makes the northern lights look dim. Later, back in class, the students are learning about the Great Avalon Forest. It is a land of elves and dragons with a massive world tree. The top 100 students will be sent there. Arthur hears this and remembers the third disaster is starting. With all this chaos, the world is falling apart. Cecily is still stuck in the shadow realm, her mind completely filled with thoughts of Arthur. When Seraphina calls her the wife of the district lord, Cecily turns bright red and insists they are just friends. So, what do you and I think? Seraphina suggests they head to Avalon to help Arthur, and the real hunt begins. All right, you and I are about to watch Lady Cydia act like a total tsundere, while our demon queen sees right through her. Lord Drake tells the students and the Amazonian tribe that this region is safe thanks to the constant presence of SSS rank heroes. Leon notes that crossing paths with these heroes depends entirely on whether the forest elves decide to launch an attack or not. Seeing him know so much about this continent shocks the students, and when they ask if there is anything he is not good at, he instantly says romance, proving that even legendary heroes can be socially awkward as hell. Leon starts apologizing profusely, proving their point. Deep in the elven village, they are discussing the humans arriving in the Emerald Wilds, and the elf chief Lord Galwin finds it suspicious. A herald rushes in to report a human intruder, just as Leon strolls through the gate with that main character energy and epic music. Lord Galwin immediately uses magic to freeze Leon. Leon realizes these elves are actually stronger than him. He tries to politely explain that a massive war is heading for the Emerald Wilds, but the elves are definitely not feeling it. Cyan and Seraphina reach the wilds only to get jumped by a massive abyssal drake, which gets its head sliced off almost instantly. The SSS rank Paladins of the Round Table, Sir Ian and Sir Dumont, arrive just in time to save the students. Leon is doing his typical overpowered magic stunts in the sky, while Chloe gets a sudden upgrade and gains the knight's legendary powers. Pay attention here, because the elven elder knows if these abyssal drakes keep invading, their entire world is going to hell. Suddenly, a stunning fire dragon matriarch appears. It is the fire dragon chief, and the icebird mother is right there with her. Leon knows he cannot one versus one any of them and must prevent an escalation, but that is difficult since they believe he is the one who started this whole mess. Galwin says they must hear Leon out, and others agree. Leon explains he can use the drake's emergence to breach the underworld and seize the sacred chalice hidden deep within. Lady Ethel flicks her finger, deciding he is not worth keeping around, and a massive inferno swallows Leon whole. The students are terrified, but suddenly Lady Anya gets upgraded to a round table knight, triggering a quest for the Sword of Galahad. She sprints off to find it and save Leon, while Ian and Dumont start clearing a path of total destruction for her. Just as she reaches the legendary blade, the three powerful elders fly down to block her path. High Priest Harlan actually slays a drake behind her, saying they are here to help since the Great War has already begun. Now I know what you are thinking. Is he dead? No, Leon is just lying there thanking his lucky stars for his plot armor. He pulls up his quest window, trying to figure out a winning strategy for the night of the Round Table Challenge. Recalling the legend of King Arthur, he is inspired to drop 100,000 points on a desperate gamble. A massive glowing light fills the sky representing King Arthur's soul, and he summons Excalibur, pulling the aggro of every monster nearby. Lady Anya immediately realizes that King Arthur's voice sounds exactly like Leon's voice. Lady Anya tells Sir Ian and Sir Dumont to follow her to the blade, explaining that the Excalibur is just a massive diversion. Leon unlocks Harlequin class. Ian and Dumont stay behind to hold off the swarm, but a giant abyssal drake lunges right for Lady Anya. Another giant abyssal drake lunges for her, but Leon suddenly yanks her high into the sky to save her life. He drops her right at the sword, and she pulls it easily, triggering the 5th main quest, the War for the Chalice. Leon signals Harlan, who orders Lord Drake to seal the underworld entrance, which he finishes in record time. Leon starts explaining the next phase to Lady Anya, when Cyan suddenly appears behind him ready for orders. Leon is surprised, but happy to have Cyan and Seraphina as they head into a massive cave to find the chalice. The elders and dragon queens are shocked Leon survived, while Drake worries he is not strong enough to keep the underworld sealed. But then General Kavar and Elder Torin arrive to back them up, as Harlan explains Leon will return in 30 minutes. Now they just have to survive and hold the line for that long. The war rages on, and 30 minutes are almost up, which is way longer than some of us would ever last in a boss fight. As the timer hits 0, Leon bursts from the ground like a bullet, clutching the sacred chalice in his hands. With the 5th quest complete, Leon unlocks the Harlequin God class, a title that once belonged to a legendary trickster god. Back in his room, the system confirms he has finally reached god status and needs to complete a final trial to level up. He activates the Trace of the Past system, and trust me, you and I are going to want to see where he goes next. You and I watching Leo enter his first dream realm. This place is worlds apart from where he stood just moments ago. Suddenly, he is pulled into a second nightmare realm, and agonizing pain starts tearing through his body as the magic shifts. The Oracle yanks him from the past back to reality, just as a massive tentacled horror begins crawling out of a rift in the sky. It nearly crushes Julian, but Sir Hans saves him at the absolute last second. Duke unleashes his Heavenbreaker blade against the godling, but it only seems to make it angrier. Duke knows only one man can stop this, but Blanche reveals that Leo is still unconscious. Now pay attention. Leo finally arrives on the field, just as the beast fires a blast meant to erase anything less than a god. But our man is just here to show off, shredding the tentacles into a bloody soup. Even crazier, he just used Duke's own legendary sword technique. Leo is confused. He doesn't know how he has this power or why he is jumping through his past lives. But that giant, creepy eye needs his attention first. Leo tells Simon they need to regroup with everyone else. Duke is barely holding the line when he sees Leo wielding his ultimate move effortlessly. That's when he knows Leo is the chosen one. The celestial demon bound to Duke commands him to help Leo at any possible cost. It grants Duke overwhelming new strength. Leo orders him to strike the legs while he targets the core. He knows survival is unlikely for the others, and he refuses to let a single comrade fall today. He charges the main body, as Duke carves through the tentacles blocking Leo's path. Leo dives straight into the dark abyss, where the horror originated. Elsewhere, Lady Jillian is desperately trying to rally every ounce of support for Leo. It takes an elite knight to handle one limb, but reports say Leo has already engaged the core by himself. Leo reaches the eye and casts a Chronos barrier to trap the beast. You and I both know it is a deathmatch now. One lives and one dies, and this duel will be brutal against a god. He draws his blade and a ridiculous bamboo staff before launching his assault. They clash for minutes that feel like days inside the barrier, until both of Leo's weapons finally shatter. He narrowly parries the monster's next strike, but now he stands completely disarmed. Exhausted, he blocks the next blow with the Holy Grail. It is his last resort, even if it is not really a weapon. Leo begins to doubt if a minor divinity like him can truly best a god. Leo tries to use the Holy Grail's wish to save the world, but he is a bit too late and ends up impaled through the gut by a tentacle. He triggers the wish instantly, and a holy light begins tearing the monster apart. Leo looks up and sees a one-armed warrior with a glowing golden eye. The crowd outside is terrified, and while his friends are worried sick, that sentiment isn't going to help Leo survive the battle. The time barrier finally collapses, and a glowing figure carries Leo out of the wreckage. Everyone recognizes the legendary golden-eyed saint, and Julian realizes this hero is actually his own father. The man drops Leo like a sack of grain, dives back into the abyss, and ends the threat in a single second. Months later, Leo prepares to leave the citadel. Duke arrives to bid him farewell and celebrate their graduation. Leo thanks him with a smirk, his mind already set on his next quest. Season 1 of this tale ends here, and we jump into an even longer time skip now, seeing a frozen world where hooded survivors huddle in a bunker, whispering about how the frost is spreading. The Frost Licks Empire is spreading. Without a legendary hero's help, they'll be lost to the ice forever. A dark-clad stranger approaches a starving boy, promising him warmth and a hot meal. Leo is scrying the whole scene, calling out exactly how these villains use food and shelter to bait innocent children. The stranger is absolutely livid. Then Leo drops his hood, revealing his white robes with a flamboyant, staged entrance that makes the dark stranger physically cringe. This villain was sent to capture the boy, a rare new-blood human. Born after the Great Cataclysm 3 years ago, these kids possess godlike power. But first, he has to kill this cringy Leo guy. Trust me, you and I are not ready for the power this kid just unleashed. Leo calls out House Mortimer, telling the suit-wearing goon that their reputation for raising these new humans is actually quite horrific and cruel. All right, you and I are about to see this goon fire at Leo, and the kid thinks he is dead. Seriously, do these guys live under a rock? Gwyn shuts down the attack with zero effort, and with a simple flick of his wrist, Leo slams the guy into the stone wall. Leo tells the boy about the Royal Vanguard Academy back in the kingdom, offering to take him there if he wants a real future. The kid agrees, wanting to be a hero, but suddenly the alarms blare. The Winter Wraith is launching a massive assault on their fortress. The boy starts panicking, but Leo just tells him to stay calm. He and Gwyn have this situation totally under control. The kid asks if they are both level 8, and we find out that since the Great Cataclysm, everything has changed. The ranking system has totally changed, and we now have 10 different levels. Soldiers prepare to defend the base, but Leo just strolls in, tossing his coat aside for a dramatic entrance while promising to handle the Wraith. Over at House Mortimer headquarters, Lady Julian greets Lord Gilbert, the older brother of the previous guild leader Sebastian. This guy was the head of their family guild until he lost his seat to his sister, Lady Alara, and Julian has dark plans for him. She leads him into a massive underground lab where they are performing brutal experiments, forcing adjustments onto these poor captured test subjects. She brags that her subjects can easily crush level 7 knights, making Gilbert wonder what it would take to kill a level 8 hero. She smirks at this greedy snake as he fumes about how Leo helped his sister steal his position and his birthright. All he wants now is blood. Meanwhile, Leo has already finished the Wraith and even sent the kid off to the academy safely. Deep in the dungeon, Leo spots someone huddled under a bright spotlight, looking just like a grieving widow who has lost everything. He approaches the young dragonblood girl, who tearfully explains that her mother vanished days ago and has not come back yet. Leo realizes her mother is Lady Valeriana, which means the Great Dragon War is likely about to kick off again. He promises to find her mom, making her smile. Then, he tells Gwyn he is heading into the deadly chaos zone alone. It is home to level 10 monsters, so even for someone as strong as Leo, this is incredibly dangerous. Elsewhere, Master Duncan realizes his students are outclassing him and decides he needs to start training harder to keep up. Now pay attention here. Almost losing a liver is not the training Duncan wanted, and he cannot even track the attacker's insane speed. A shadowy figure stands right in front of him, its cold gaze piercing straight through Master Duncan's very soul. Duncan's attacks are completely useless. The figure lunges again, but retreats when a flurry of sword strikes cuts through the air. It is Lady Natalie to the rescue. She sees Duncan collapse and knows he is in serious trouble. This shadow assassin does not slow down, immediately turning his blade toward Natalie and sending her flying backward. Just then, Sir Harold sends her a quick tactical message on how to bring down these modified superhumans. There is so much text she will be dead before she finishes, so she scrolls in a panic and finds one tip: unleash every attack at once. She does exactly that and obliterates the shadow assassin instantly. Now we meet Fenris, the ruler of the Shadow Wyvern clan, who is listening as Lady Valeriana offers her own life to save them. This absolutely enrages him. The rivalry between the Shadow Wyvern and the ancient Scale tribes is deep and ancient history. She pleads that the massacre was the work of evil gods, not her people, but Fenris is not buying any of it. He decides to execute her right then, and there for having the nerve to lie directly to his face. Suddenly, a hologram of Leo flickers into existence to stop him. Fenris shatters it, but another one appears right behind him. Fenris demands a name, and Leo introduces himself as the Jester God, before casually blocking a strike that terrifies the Dragon Lord. You and I both know a good rescue when we see one. Leo fingerguns the Lord and teleports the lady to safety. Furious, Fenris commands his hunters to track them both down and slaughter them without any mercy. Leo brings Valeriana to safety, but she warns this will spark a war. He tells her they just need to find Lord Balthazar. He is the proof they need to show the dark deities were the ones behind the slaughter all those years ago. But it is not going to be easy, because the Shadow Wyvern soldiers have already surrounded their entire location. Leo pulls out his Dragonblood Hunter wand, which sucks their magic dry, leaving them completely exhausted and breathless on the floor. They collapse, but Fenris is already closing in, still refusing to believe that Balthazar was the real mastermind behind it all. And that is where we leave it. You and I have to wait and see if she can solve this mystery before her time runs out. All right, you and I are about to witness Sir Alistair as he battles a sentient scepter that is devouring everything, while questioning Lady Felicity about her very mysterious human informant. A twisted mind, indeed. Alistair vows to force Lord Balthazar's confession, tearing open a rift to the abyssal void where the villain is currently hiding. We spot Balthazar deep in the darkness, greedily feasting on wandering souls. He devours every spirit hole, gaining enough dark power to finally leave this realm and ascend toward the high heavens to wreak absolute havoc. His steward reports that Lord Frederick and Countess Cassandra are still fighting, and Balthazar is thrilled at the prospect of their mutual destruction. The entire void would be his to command, if not for Sir Alistair sneaking Lady Felicity close enough to overhear every single word of his treacherous plan. Finding Alistair behind this sudden ambush really strikes a nerve with Balthazar. Balthazar reveals King Lucian called Alistair the world's only wildcard, but before Alistair can process what that means, the villain launches a direct, all-out assault on the entire party. But of course, Balthazar is utterly crushed just a few moments later. He cries out, wondering why King Lucian abandoned him, as Alistair notes that delivering a finishing blow in this dimension is going to be nearly impossible. Balthazar erupts with dark energy, but Alistair quickly unlocks a new skill and immediately unleashes it upon the beast. He drags Balthazar into his own domain, demanding to know why King Lucian would ever call a simple knight like him a wildcard. He draws King Lucian's holy blade, which is now little more than a broken hilt, as Balthazar's body begins to fade away inside Alistair's divine domain. The broken lord finally cracks, admitting he has no clue what Lucian's cryptic message meant either. All he knows is their world is fading, and Lucian is fighting to save it. If Alistair is the variable, then he's the only hope left to stop the coming apocalypse. Now watch this twist. We might have been rooting for the wrong side all along. Alistair starts to wonder if his summoning to this dying realm has a deeper meaning, clutching the sacred chalice he originally intended to use for his one wish to return home. He pivots his plan, wishing for the Shard of Chaos to grant him the ultimate power needed to reach the final stage of this twisted game. However, the Shard's power dwarfs the Chalice's magic, meaning his only choice is to challenge and defeat the current guardian of that ancient power. He accepts the deal, burning his wish. Somewhere far away, King Lucian laments how the gods have forsaken them, vowing to save the world alone. A one-armed knight named Commander Gareth approaches the king with news. He claims the Old Ones will assist them once Lucian breaks his limits, but the king refuses to accept the world's end regardless of his own power. Gareth deems this impossible, so Lucian immediately takes flight to kill him. Cassandra and Frederick finally stop fighting. A blinding light tears through the sky, and they realize Gareth and Lucian are clashing. They decide to intervene and stop Lucian before he opens the forbidden heavens and destroys the world. Alistair awakens within the crumbling ruins of Lady Luck's temple, where a mysterious voice suddenly challenges him to play. A deck of cards appears as he's invited to gamble his life away. Pretty lucky for him, right? He sweeps 4 games straight before being forced into an enhancement challenge, where he must roll the dice to strengthen his legendary gear. He needs to reach level 9, but if he fails the gamble, King Lucian's sword will be destroyed forever. He starts the game and wins, but greed takes over as he decides to push for one more upgrade. Trust me, you've never seen luck like this before. He clears the next challenge too, leaving the voice stunned. It admits it doesn't even want to duel someone with such terrifyingly good fortune on their side. The voice reveals that before the gods, the primordials ruled until they were cast down by the ancient king of time. But those primordials will return to reclaim the world if Lucian opens the gate to the forbidden heavens. Alistair realizes this isn't the game he remembers and asks what would happen to the humans if the primordials returned. It would mean total extinction. Now, one final game stands between Alistair and the Shard of Chaos needed to stop the primordials for good. He'll get to wield the Shard's forbidden power while completing this final trial. Alistair accepts, deciding to venture into the primordials' prison realm to search for any allies who might still be alive. He teleports to the abyss, the graveyard of ancient gods, where a massive chain lunges at him, but he vanishes just as a new demoness appears. Alistair reappears right behind her, calling her Adelaide the Hunter, and she demands to know his name. He asks for her help to stop the primordials from reaching Earth, but she says it is impossible while under their constant, watchful gaze. Alistair explains that Lucian's meddling with the forbidden heavens will make it happen, and he asks for her help. Stick around, because our hero is about to turn this fierce demoness into a legend that the entire kingdom will remember for centuries to come. Stick with me, we're watching titans get swatted like flies. Sir Carvian and Fion reach the Dark Realm, where Lucifer reveals a fragment of chaos. This shocks Jenkiel, since only 5 of these ancient relics exist in the world. Lucifer banishes Jenkiel to a void dimension and splits the earth to open the celestial abyss. Leo arrives with his own relic to stop Lucifer, but he is just a moment too late as the giants begin dropping from the sky like a plague. He decides the only way to save the kingdom is by trapping them in the abyss. This failure costs him the goddess's quest and his precious relic, but luckily, he gains legendary perks and the noble name of Sir Percival. Some fool summons an eldritch horror to wage war across the Western Kingdom right now. Leo needs a new fragment of chaos fast, and his time is rapidly running out. The Royal Council warns the king that even level 8 knights are falling in battle. Leo suddenly appears in the throne room, promising a solution to the bald High King. He explains the monster wants the relic and asks the king to hand it over. Swearing to save the realm, the king agrees and they seal the deal with a handshake. The summoner is lost in a dark trance before snapping back to his twisted reality. After slicing through those massive tentacles, Leo goes in for the kill and continues to turn the great beast into nothing but fresh monster sushi. Now pay attention here. He summons a massive magic circle to blast that villains straight to hell and back with a blinding beam. The coward plays a retreat card, and vanishes back into the creature's dark dimension. Leo just waves with a smug grin, knowing that escape from there is basically impossible. Lady White and the Dragon Princess sense a terrifyingly familiar energy approaching them quickly. Leo teleports in, and White warns him that a powerful being is closing the distance. He takes her to the void, while Jenkil discusses the giants being trapped in the abyss. Suddenly, the ground trembles as a massive, naked, pure-blooded dragon appears in the sky. He is the Great Divine, a friend of Lucifer here to ask for his help. Leo teleports in with Lady White and is shocked to see the beast, so he offers the dragon a fragment of chaos just to leave them in peace. But the beast is only interested in the girl behind him, and although Jenkil backs Leo, the dragon demands she be handed over, which is basically an open invitation for a bloody fight. Leah. He refuses to ever hand her over, and as the dragon flies into a rage, Leo pulls out his legendary dragon-slaying wand to block the monster's devastating attack. He starts a divine broadcast to gain power from the massive crowd watching him. After surviving the blow, Leo feels the thrill of a real challenge again. You and I saw that, right? 2 billion viewers just tuned into his divine vision, which is like an entire continent watching at once and skyrocketing his stats. Yet it is not enough, as he lacks the gear he had in the past. He wonders if he can recover his legendary items by using the ancient Soul Link system to reach back into his own past. He needs 10 minutes to synchronize, but his allies cannot hold out that long. Suddenly, a group of his old classmates arrive to strike the dragon from behind, desperate to stall for as long as they possibly can. They saw his broadcast and came to help, but this only makes the dragon angrier. White begs him to hurry and save them all, so he leaps into the celestial abyss, where he achieves an exalted rank while hiding away to use his ancient system. Jenkil tells Jin to tap into his mother's latent power to grow much stronger. He explains that before her fall, she was an archangel known as Cherubim. Jin listens and taps into that power, while Shin prepares an attack with Lilith's full strength as the upgraded warrior slams his fist directly into the dragon's massive belly. Leo meditates to activate the system, while his classmates risk everything to stall for him. But after 20 long minutes of brutal fighting, everyone is at their absolute limit. Leo returns and mocks the dragon as a mere lizard, which is a massive insult to his kind, while his classmates laugh and he yells that it is finally time to end this. The dragon feels Leo's aura, realizing he has even surpassed the power of Lucifer himself. The beast falls to its knees, and Leo chooses to spare his life instead. And that's where we leave it, trust me, you'll want to see what happens next. All right, you and I are diving into a royal mess, where a mother's dark magic turns her own son into a puppet. Sir Gareth and Lord Arthur rush to the rescue, while Julian is trapped in a mental void. Paralyzed, he hears Lady Alara's haunting voice, and honestly, her presence is absolutely terrifying. Without a hint of mercy, she slowly stalks toward him. Every step she takes brings Julian agonizing pain. She demands his absolute submission, promising it's the only way for him and his father to survive the coming storm. Julian collapses in tears as his spirit breaks. Thankfully, Gareth successfully purges the malevolent energy from his soul, bringing a momentary peace to the broken boy. As they depart, Lady Seraphina approaches Arthur. They share a moment of intense, awkward silence, which feels exactly like trying to talk to your first crush. Silent, Arthur heads to the celestial gate to seal it using the chaos fragment. Meanwhile, the focus shifts to Silas, the rogue summoner. As he breaches the massive house Mortimer vaults, royal guards try to block his path, but he sweeps them aside effortlessly. Now you and I need to watch this part very closely. Inside, he tests his strength against the vault's guardian ghouls. He defeats them easily enough, but realizes that a larger horde would have certainly overwhelmed him in the end. A fatal backstab misses. As his body shifts to dodge, he realizes these undead thralls will be perfect additions to his growing army. He banishes the monsters into his shadow realm. Lady Julia Mortimer arrives to find the vault picked clean. She's utterly stunned, with no clue who could have bypassed House Mortimer's legendary security and stolen everything. Arthur finishes his task, and Seraphina offers her thanks. He insists he should be thanking her, while she hints that she'll give him many more reasons for gratitude later on. Arthur warns Seraphina about Silas and his shadow realm. He explains that invading that dimension will provide the ultimate opportunity for them to reach a new level of legendary power. Arthur is thrilled, contemplating his growth, which honestly terrifies poor Silver. Arthur just sinks deeper into his own dark ambitions, ignoring everything else around him. Now Seraphina feels the bloodlust, declaring her eagerness to hunt Silas down. Seeing her this intense actually gives Arthur a moment of genuine concern for the enemy. A young clerk challenges a corrupt banker, refusing to back down. He insists their actions are immoral, so the boss delivers a brutal punch to his face. But this legend keeps protesting, so the cruel boss begins to kick him while he is down. The clerk lands near Silas, who notes the boy is the only one with a spine. Silas hurls the boss away and marches toward the main vault. He cracks the safe effortlessly and decides to play Robin Hood, intending to distribute the gold to the kingdom's most desperate souls. The bank's governor now pleads with Arthur. But Arthur argues the institution is morally bankrupt. He claims the only way to save it is for him to take total control. The governor scoffs, saying no one has that kind of wealth. Arthur slams a royal crested card onto the table, a symbol of limitless imperial credit. Arthur buys 51% of the bank, becoming its master. Shortly after, he tracks down Silas and confronts him. He strikes him for stealing his gold. Silas tries to flee, but Arthur teleports behind him with another thunderous blow. A final hit sends Silas sprawling. You and I know that Arthur is not a man to be trifled with. Arthur declares that theft is unnecessary, vowing to show Silas how to change the world through the power of law and coin. With his vast wealth, Arthur orders Harlan to slash interest rates from 26% to just 3%. He also demands they provide stable jobs to those in dire need immediately. Silas thinks he's bluffing, because even if you were the wealthiest duke in the land, nobody could afford such a massive loss. He tries to strike Arthur, but the Lord effortlessly dodges and delivers another blow. Silas retreats into his shadow realm once more, which is exactly what Arthur anticipated he would do from the start. Seraphina laughs, suggesting death would be kinder while she strokes Silver. She starts daydreaming about a future family with Arthur, getting way ahead of herself in the process. Suddenly, she turns bright red from embarrassment, realizing just how absurd her wandering thoughts have become. Silas is shocked by Arthur's sheer power and decides to flee to a hidden dimension to train further. However, he knows that crossing over could bring ruin to innocent villagers nearby. Instead, he flees to the 31st district of the Dark Lands, certain that Arthur would never follow him there. But Arthur appears, essentially bullying Silas now, and reveals he owns this territory too. He prepares another punishing strike. The blow sends Silas scurrying back to his dimension, confused by how Arthur can track his movements so easily. He flees to the opposite side of the world, heading into the southern reach. But Arthur is already waiting there. Silas retreats again, convinced Arthur must be a corrupt tyrant to own so much of the world. This burning hatred only fuels his desire for ultimate vengeance. Genevieve asks why Arthur bought this monster-filled wasteland. That's where we leave things, trust me. His plan is far bigger than you think. All right, you and I are jumping back in as Liam watches Silas finally break under the pressure and teeter on the edge of madness. Psychological and physical torment from Liam are definitely taking a heavy toll on Silas. Silas has no choice but to open the portal to the beyond, causing massive earthquakes throughout the Blackwood estate. Within moments, a small village appears, followed shortly after by a full-scale medieval town right before our eyes. Liam promises to explain everything during his next broadcast, warning that these mysterious settlements will soon be appearing in every corner of the world. These villages house dimensional traders who buy and sell exotic goods from across the different worlds. If any army tries to attack them, these merchants can summon devastating reinforcements from other terrifying dimensions. Liam orders Sir Galahad to handle the diplomacy and form strong alliances before casually strolling away from the scene. Liam starts his broadcast as he enters an interdimensional store and meets Keaton, the master of the achievement market. Liam decides it is time to sell his unneeded achievements. Keaton offers 11 million gold coins for the massive haul, and after a quick handshake, Liam heads to the taming shop where Lady Rowena is waiting. Liam receives a mystical taming brand that allows him to dominate or consume the most powerful high-tier demons. Lady Rowena asks for 3 million gold coins because Liam insisted on getting the strongest brand available. The price tag leaves Liam speechless, but pay attention to the figure who has been spying on him from the shadows this entire time. Silas approaches Keaton and offers a legendary achievement earned by enduring pain that is far worse than death. Keaton is hesitant because cursed items bring bad luck, so he only offers a measly 2 million gold for it. Silas demands the same 10 million gold the previous guy received, but Keaton refuses to budge, forcing Silas to keep haggling. Master Keaton only increases the price to 2.5 million like a true negotiator, eventually settling on 3 million. We cut to Lord Gerard, who is currently speaking with his son, Julian. Julian vows to enter the demon realm and break the dark curse holding his mother captive, but Lord Gerard warns him that defeating his brother will be a monumental task. Julian decides to use his new taming brand to devour every demon he encounters, hoping to grow powerful enough to finally take down his older brother. Liam is grinding for power in the azure depths. But wait, a sudden emergency quest pops up, and you and I both know Liam won't miss the chance to stop these strange, cloud-like invaders. The Knights of the Dawn Sword Guild, led by Sir Arthur, are desperately trying to stop the invasion. Suddenly, Roland charges in to save the day, telling the knights to fall back while he handles the gaseous cloud monsters. Liam screams for him to wait because he wants to absorb them himself. He flares his brand to summon a massive ancient kraken that crushes the monsters, while Liam orders Roland to seal the surrounding space immediately. As he moves to finish off the remaining monsters, Bianca calls out to him, and they have seriously changed her name 20 times by now. She wants to join the hunt and tame some cute squids just like her dad, and Liam is so surprised by her behavior he lets her tag along. He explains that these spirits cannot be tamed because they lack physical forms, except for the massive Dungeon King. Look at these lazy, copy-and-paste monsters. Bianca is thrilled that a successful hunt means a bigger allowance. Trust me, we are in for a wild ride.